Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Bargain Bin, a show about speedrunning games all under $20. I'm your host, Midnight Vesper, and if you're new here, well, here's how this works. For more current/digital games, we'll be using digital stores like Steam, GOG, itch.io, Ubisoft, Epic, etc. to look at the list/MSRP price. For retro games, we'll be using a wide assortment of price charting websites looking for the loose price of the game. We do not count any sales or discounts as they vary from time of purchase. Couple announcements for you all real fast. Do not forget that Frost Fatale's 2023 prize submissions are open until February 20th. You can head on over to GamesDoneQuick.com for more information or use !prizes in Twitch chat to submit your prizes. If you want to follow what GDQ is up to, use !links in chat for all things GDQ. And of course, your subs, Prime Gaming subs, gift subs, and bits cheered on the GDQ Twitch channel all also help support Games Done Quick hotfix. Please consider subscribing if you enjoy the daily speedrunning content. And of course, Unapologetically Black and Fast was this previous weekend, but if you missed the shows, you can check out the VODs on our YouTube. Now, for today's show, I thought I'd have a little bit of a Final Fantasy themed. So later on, we're going to have Dirge of Cerberus, Final Fantasy VII, and then the Final Fantasy VII Remake Intermission Yuffie DLC. But first, with a little bit of theme of vampires and Vincent, I thought about with the transition and all, we'd showcase Bloodstained Curse of the Moon with Jupiter Climb here. So how are you doing today, Jupiter?
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm doing great.
I'm excited for this run. I love these type of runs.
Well, if you'd like, I can go ahead and jump in here. Just let me know when.
Yeah, just go right ahead.
Alrighty, so this is Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. Time is gonna start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Alrighty. Now, there are a lot of different categories for this game. This is the true any percent category, aka any percent nightmare mode casual. You'll see, this is definitely an homage to Castlevania 3. We've got 3 playable characters from the get-go. We've got a whip user, a spell user, and let's just call him what he is. He's Alucard. Here he is. You can wing smash.
I can totally see it.
And this is a pretty broken category. For example, so are we all good on audio issues? Okay, let me actually go ahead. I had to pause there and let me just go ahead and kick this run off from the top. I think with this glitch in particular, it really gotta make sure we nail it. This is a pretty long game for a classic Vania style. It's got 8 stages, as you might expect, but there are a lot of branching paths. We're gonna add some unintended paths to that list here. So yeah, the basic idea is that in this game, floors are mostly optional.
I still like the Alucard tribute there.
All right, so yeah, through the floor, we're gonna freeze the rat here. And okay, back to Miriam. Still falling, and this is the end of the stage, just like that.
Wait, what?
There's a reason this is the true 8% category. There are all kinds of crazy skips like that one. All right, fun boss here. Although, I'm gonna have to do a little bit of improv on this one. I fell off the platform, so no damage stacks this time. I can maybe go for a 2 cycle here. Let me try something like this. I'll have a chance on boss 2 to show off the damage stacks. But what you can do is freeze some of the icicles on top of a boss's hitbox. And once they start to thaw out, they'll deal damage every few frames. It's a very efficient way to kill some of these bosses. But that's not too slow, honestly. A 2-cycle versus a 1-cycle, not a big deal.
Yeah.
Now, the story here, for those who haven't played this game, this is Nightmare Mode. The standard version of the game starts you out with Zangetsu, who's the main character. But after you beat the game, Zangetsu is consumed by darkness, and now his former allies are going to the castle to stop him once and for all. So it's kind of a sad tale. That's why Zangetsu is not playable here.
So when you do all these glitches that are in this, does it deter, or I guess does it hurt in terms of like certain abilities you can get? Because I think in like Castlevania, you get abilities based off of like items that you see and stuff.
Yeah, great question. Oh, nice skip here. That's a grounded floor clip. These are the toughest to get in the game. You have like a 2-pixel window, so that's a good first try. But yeah, there are a lot of upgrades in this game, despite it being a classic Vania throwback. It's got a lot of modern design sensibilities as well, including permanent upgrades. However, we're gonna be skipping most of those here, because we're zipping around way too much. Don't have time for that. A lot of them I would pick up if I could, but we just skip past the rooms with the upgrades in them. However, this room is an exception. While I'm doing this particular floor clip, I can pick up this MP max item. Get a little bit off there. I find backup. So now you'll see the MP total is gone from a cap of 40 to a cap of 50. And MP management's pretty important in this. More MP means more wing smashing, so you gotta manage it carefully. Okay, so this is gonna work. Here I can show off the damage stacking. You'll notice I've got those sickles frozen, they thaw out. And they both just rack up a ton of damage. That fight takes so long if you try to do it the intended way.
That's just amazing how fast you're getting rid of these bosses, though.
Yeah, it's interesting. On Nightmare Mode, compared to the normal mode, the bosses have increased health, and they have new moves. So they're tougher versions of the bosses, but they still go down real quick. Now, this is a really quick stage, but it's tough, so I'm going to focus here. A lot of clips in quick succession. That's perfect. And here I'm picking up the axe. If you've played this game casually, this is typically considered the best sub-weapon. To give you a point of comparison, Miriam's whip does 5 points of damage, the axe does 25. And if you freeze an enemy, the next attack deals double damage. So yeah, this is another great boss killer.
I'm just completely perplexed about all the glitches I'm seeing.
Excellent, that's the quick kill there. Perfectly done. If you miss that quick kill in like a record attempt, it's basically an automatic reset. Saves about 10 seconds. All right, so those first 3 stages have definitely been pretty broken. For the next few stages, it's more like the actual game. The clips are small, so we're gonna actually see most of what the designers wanted you to see here.
So you may not be able to answer, but I'll ask, and maybe chat or anything like that. When it comes to finding a lot of these zips that are in here and all the glitches and stuff like that, how was that found? Was it just through tasks, or was it just a one button got pressed and they just fell to the floor?
That's a great question. One moment. All right, you can easily die here. Okay, I want to be at 22 MP. That's perfect. So yeah, I'm actually pretty new to this game. Okay, good. I'm doing a little bit of a swap here for a higher jump. Miriam does have a high jump ability, which is quite useful for skips like that one. But yeah, my main series is Castlevania. I got into Bloodstained speedruns about 3 weeks ago. So I do not know as much as I'd like about the history of tricks like that.
You said 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
You're pulling off these stunts.
I can tell you that a lot of the stuff here is pretty new school. Players like Laxus have been incorporating newer and newer strats into categories like this one. So yeah, a lot of these zips weren't known about 3-4 years ago, but now they're, huge time saves. All right, so we got the dragons here. It's gonna be a lot of axe. There's phase 1. And let's see, I can afford to blow one of these. And this should be it. Very nice.
Nice.
So yeah, we skipped about, 50% of the stage there with that clip through the wolves, which is a lot. But 50%'s not as high as 90%. So, it's getting better.
Still. This is the show also for learning this in 3 weeks. The, how great of a gamer you are.
I don't know about that. I've had a lot of help. There's a lot of resources for this game, and it's a great game to pick up. If anyone else is curious, I definitely recommend it. Lots of categories to choose from. All right, so this is a pretty scary area. Because I'm going to be wing smashing a lot over some bottomless pits, it's very easy to die. Thankfully, I can always just reset a stage and I'll start with the sub-weapons I had before. So a death won't be too costly, but that's why the estimate's a little bit high, just in case I need it. Okay, that's lucky. Now, in casual mode, enemies can drop sub-weapons a lot more often than on veteran, and that can save you a lot of time. All right, this is a cool skip here. I'm setting up 2 platforms. This one I'm gonna clip in, and here, I'm gonna stand on that one, go through the wall, and I'm skipping a mid-boss here. You're supposed to fight a portrait normally, but you can just go right around.
I love the
That
enemy
was a
artwork.
very good stage. All right, one more trip to make. You're supposed to climb up to the boss. Instead, I think we should probably go ahead and fall down. Perfect.
Such a cool run. It's such a cool run to watch.
Now, sadly, this is the bad RNG pattern. I cannot believe at a GDQ run, I got bad RNG. I can't believe it.
Shocking.
Very nice. So yeah, the unicorn boss here just falls right into that blender. And it's over in 1 cycle. Now that does lose time. I should emphasize, like you saw at stage 4, we were using a lot of the ice axe. The axe is better for bosses. It's just way too strong, but you can't clip out of bounds with the axe. So it's a trade-off. Do you go for these slightly slower bosses, but with the clips, or the faster bosses and the intended route through a stage? It kind of depends on the situation. Now, Vesper, I'm curious. Do you happen to have any favorite classic Vanias?
What was the one? Was it Rondo of Blood, I think was one that I actually really enjoyed?
Rondo's a great one.
Yeah.
Really, really good. And there is quite a few pieces of inspiration from that game here. For example, at the end of every boss, you've noticed, there's a desperation attack. Those can't kill you, but if you avoid all damage, you'll gain a 1-up afterwards, just like Rondo of Blood.
Oh,
I think
okay.
most people would consider Rondo, Castlevania 4, or Castlevania 3 the best Classicvania. But despite this game being relatively new, it's 5 years old, this one's my personal favorite. I think it's super good.
It's a great speedrun to watch, too.
This might be a bit high. Let's just go around here. You can save a couple of seconds by jumping on that platform, but it's gotta be close to pixel perfect. All right, here's some new tech here. You slide, and right when you get to the end of the platform, you can transform into a bat. I'm happy to say that's the one thing I've discovered in this game. So thought I'd give it a mention. Saves many frames.
And saving frames is important for the speedrun.
All right, one more scary room here, then I think it's all clear. Good.
Hey, shoutouts to the design of just not just the world map, but the enemies also have such a really artistic design with it.
Totally agree. Yeah, let me give a quick shout out. This game was developed by Inti Creates, one of my absolute favorite studios. And initially it was planned, right? So we had the Bloodstained Ritual of the Night Kickstarter, headed by Iga. And this game was a backer bonus. It was a stretch goal. And it was intended as like a nice appetizer for the main game, but it turned out incredibly well. A lot of people, myself included, actually prefer this to Ritual of the Night. It's just that high quality.
I hear a lot of praise for this game. I have not actually, personally have not touched this one yet, but I've heard nothing but good praise about it.
All right, so that was Bloodless. This fight's a lot of RNG. That was a mediocre pattern, but you'll notice I got the double blender. This is one of my favorite bosses because you have to react to the RNG every time. Sometimes you'll have two sides on one half of the room. Sometimes, like in that situation, you've got to split them up. All right, so there is a flashing lights warning coming up for stage 7 if you're sensitive. I'll let you know when it's over. It's about 5 seconds, but just in case. This is a great stage, though. This is one of the toughest stages to optimize. I'm gonna kill this guy here. Sometimes he'll drop an MP plus 10 item, which is pretty nice. But rarely happens, maybe 1 in 5 tries. I can save time right here. A short hop with Miriam. Freeze, float, pick up the armor. And here we go.
Wow.
Into the checkerboard dimension. By the way, flashing lights warning is over now. It's the last we'll see of the checkerboards here. So here I'm backtracking because I want to pick up an axe for Miriam. This opens up a shortcut right here, and it's good for bosses for the rest of the run.
So, plot-wise, is there a reason why you're just going from character to character in this, or is it just a game mechanic that you had?
Oh, yeah, totally fair question. So in the main game, the kind of normal mode as opposed to the nightmare mode, Zangetsu recruits all of these allies one by one to join his cause. And then at the end of the game, he has to sacrifice himself to save them, but turns evil in the process. It's a riveting tale. So now the whole squad is making the return trip to try and free his soul. And we're almost there, actually. This is stage 7. So next up, of course, is going to be stage 9. And that is the final stage of the game. But first, this is one of the tougher quick kills. Let me see how it goes here. Okay, I got one of the two. This'll have to do. A little bit of improv coming up. I missed my buffer on the second sickle, but I'm gonna get one stack here. Switch to Miriam. And should be close, should be a 2-cycle. Yeah, there we go.
Whatever you oppose to say that this boss seems electrifying.
It certainly is. I love the bosses in this game, and especially this category. They're really tough to do. And typically when you're doing speedruns, they die at the boss fights because they're so hard to optimize. But when they click, it's so satisfying to get a run where all the bosses are clean. All right, so stage 9 has an impossible zip at the start. I can't tell you how many runs I've lost here. You either get it first try or you reset. All right, here we go. Easy. All right. That's, I can't believe I got that first try. I was expecting 5th try.
Wow.
The problem is, every time you miss it, it's a 30-second time loss, which is just killer.
Holy smokes, way to get that on your first try, though.
One more trick here. Looking good. All right. Want to be careful not to go back in bounds too soon. It's almost too bad in a way. This is one of my favorite stages, but in casual mode, because you start with 10 MP as opposed to the normal 5, you can set up that grounded icicle and just skid it. Also, there's a floor right here. Let me just point this out real quick. The only reason this trick works is because there happens to be a floor here. Thank you, Inti Creates, for making this zip possible. I really appreciate it. All right, so final boss coming up. This is Evil Zangetsu. Zangetsu is the king of RNG. You just pray for good luck. I'm sure it will be at worst RNG. Let's see it.
Let's see what happens.
What the? Wait a minute. That's best RNG.
What?
Can I get the double axe? Oh my god.
What?
All right, so that's very lucky. That's the kind of thing I want to get in actual speedruns and never do. Best pattern with the double axe. Now here, I gotta just protect the old man, and time's coming up. Right now, time.
Wow. That was fast.
Yeah, quick category if it goes well. And other than a couple mistakes on some of the boss quick kills, that was pretty much what I wanted to see. So really nice run.
Really,
Thank you so much for letting me
really
showcase
nice
it here.
And such a Castlevania ending as well.
Yeah, everyone's staring out on the cliff of the castle. Bittersweet.
Yes.
But yeah, really great game. Once again, want to recommend. This thing is always on sale. Starting price of $9.99 on Steam. And like I said before, my favorite classic Vania. So great game, give it a try.
Yeah. So if anyone was interested, to get more information, to know more about it, where would they go? Not saying for me either,
Certainly, yeah. So, like I mentioned earlier, I'm new to this game myself, and the community has been super welcoming and super accommodating with teaching me how to play. What I'd recommend doing is going into the Discord, the official Bloodstained Discord. You can find that on speedrun.com or on Twitter. Pretty easy to find the link. I think this game is a great one to start out with, but there's also Ritual of the Night, which is more of the Symphony of the Night inspired game. And then Curse of the Moon has a direct sequel, Curse of the Moon 2, which is also very much worth playing.
That's really good. And if anyone wanted to follow you, where would they want to? There's a lot of people in chat who, mouth to the floor. So if they were interested in following you, where would they head off to?
Well, that's very flattering. I stream about 6 days a week, twitch.tv/JupiterClimb, if you'd like to watch. I'm still in the middle of the Bloodstained grind myself, so lots more of this in the future.
Well, yeah. Thank you very much for showcasing that run. I'm just flabbergasted in how much that worked for 3 weeks of just great learning. What a way to showcase that. All right. Well, thank you. Like I said, thank you so much. We're going to take a small break here, where we get things set for the next run, which is going to be Dirge to Cerberus, Final Fantasy VII. This is a great time to get up, stretch, use the restroom, get a snack, all that fun stuff while we get things set up for that run. Stay tuned. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Bargain Bin. I'm still your host, Midnight Vesper. Before we get into this amazing Dirge of Cerberus run, just want to let you all know that if you're watching this on YouTube, hello, YouTube. Be sure to hit that like button on this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, head on over to twitch.tv/gamesdonequick if you're interested in checking out all of our live content starting weeknights at 7 p.m. Eastern and weekends at 1 p.m. Eastern. Now let's go ahead and send it on over to our good buddy Dynamite Dan for this Dirge of Cerberus Final Fantasy VII run, the only Final Fantasy VII game that I think I've not played aside from the mobile one. Was that Ever Crisis? Was that what that one was?
Well, thank you so much, Midnight, and don't worry, you probably don't have to play this one. But anyway,
started off.
Hello. Hello, everybody. My name is Dynamite Dan TNT. I am running Dirge of Cerberus, Final Fantasy VII, and with me I have DE Cosmic as commentary. Go ahead and say hi.
Hello.
And I think we're just going to go ahead and kick things off. I'll give you a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And so, yeah, this is Dirge of Cerberus, Final Fantasy VII, one of the least liked Final Fantasy spin-off titles. It's pretty universally accepted that not a lot of people dig this game, but hopefully in the next hour and 20 minutes, I can convince you guys that it's a pretty cool speedrun.
Yeah, so this game picks up like 3 years, I think, after the climax of Final Fantasy VII. It's in the city of Calm, and it's designed as a third-person shooter. It's a mission-based game, like action RPG, third-person shooter. That's kind of a mouthful. We play as Vincent, one of the optional party members in Final Fantasy VII, and we have a dash, we have a gun, we have a sick cape too. And you can see something that Dan is doing right now called city dashing. It's where you cancel the dash into a jump, and then you also aim, and then cancel the aim, because there's a bunch of cool stuff you can do in this game with canceling and aiming and stuff. But this is the current movement tech. It's called city dashing. It was found by a guy named City Hall. And, shout outs to City. Definitely a sick runner of this game.
Yeah, I want to shout out City Hall because he was actually supposed to be the runner tonight, but scheduling didn't allow it to happen, and so I'm filling in for him.
Yeah, he's a goat. So we're also going to get a Mako point there, as well as the fire materia. The Mako points fill up a certain amount of MP. I forget how much exactly, and the MP is the blue bar there right above Vincent's red health bar. We're going to shoot this barrel as well and then take this guy out. And Dan is actually turning around the camera entirely because once you look back at that alleyway, then this guy appears immediately and you can grab the card key. So a lot of this game is sort of divided into these areas that are all either separated by like EM barriers or like those electric barriers or just load zones. We also got an item called Limit Breaker. We'll get into that a little later. A lot of the way that you move around in this game is super important to avoiding damage as well, as you can see here. There's also in this game there's like level missions or something. I forget what they're actually called, but we're just gonna ignore this. Never mind. We're just gonna go right past it. Not important. That dog was just having a snack. It's fine, I guess. So what Dan's gonna do now is he's actually gonna pick up an item called the sniper scope, and you can actually customize your guns in this game. You get 3 different models of guns. You get a pistol, a sniper, and an assault rifle, and a sniper rifle. And we're only gonna be using the pistol. So Dan is gonna get Dan is gonna shoot that barrel there and kill a bunch of those dudes to get a 3 chain. And this is kind of where we get into the chain shot mechanic. So in a nutshell, the chain shot, your gun does more damage as you build chains. And then when that chain expires, your gun then gets a multiplier on the next shot that it does, be it magic or just a bullet. So we're going to get another like 7 chain here, or 8 chain, I'm sorry. Damn it, you were just flying through this, dude. I got to catch my breath. Sheesh. And we got the long barrel equipped as well as the sniper scope. This boss is gonna load in, and while it's loading in, blink and you'll miss it. Dan's gonna aim up and to the right, and then there goes. He's gonna hit the boss on the weak point. Yeah, boss is gone. I always joke that there's like helicopter fights in every PS2 action game. Fortunately, the one in this is like 2 seconds long. Also, shout outs to Hoobastank here, because this is called Walking in the Dark. Before the textures for levels even load in certain areas, Vincent can be moving through the level. So we call that Walking in the Dark, and I've just changed it to like the Hoobastank, essentially. Much to listen, all right, this is purely to spite NT1 Evolution. Love that guy, but he doesn't like it when I make that joke, so I have to make it now. This is going to be another Walking in the Dark section here, and Dan is going to just use this to kind of like get around all of these guys that are sort of swarming him, and he's going to just make a break for some barrels where he's going to be able to pick up a little bit of extra gil. And he's going to also use the fire shot here, and the fire shot is sometimes that thing goes like right through the hitbox, so I was like rooting for you there. That's good.
It's okay, I missed out on a potion.
That's fair. So the fire shot is a small like little AoE shot. Well, it's like single target, but not. It can hit a bunch of things, yeah. But it essentially comes out as a small fireball. And then we're going to also get the card key here. So now Dan has a 3-chain. We don't want to go any higher than this because I think there's something related to the stun on this boss. But we're going to use this 3-chain to essentially do like a quick kill on the next boss fight. And this is another one of those, like, there's a lot of stuff happening at once in this fight, but essentially Dan is going to be building a couple of different chain shots in order to quickly kill the boss and hit it in its weak point, because we want to be able to stun it and knock it down in order to hit the weak point a little bit better. And this is the dragonfly boss, I forgot to say, by the way. I think you fight this thing like 3 times throughout the course of the game.
So I'm building my chain right now.
Nice. Sick fight, dude. Absolutely. Also, make note, Dan, even though the boss was dead, kicked open those boxes in order to grab some handgun bullets. You do have to manage your ammo in this game, but the way that the game is routed, we don't really have to worry about buying them, fortunately. So now, at the very end of the level, you might think, oh, you want to level up here. Unfortunately, leveling up in this game doesn't really do a whole lot for you, other than maybe like increasing Vincent's health a little bit. So we only do it a couple of times here in the beginning, and then like we do it a lot later on. So we're just going to take the gil reward, we're going to sell a couple of items, and then we're going to get some upgrades for Cerberus, the Cerberus body, as well as some upgrades for the long barrel. And the long barrel's big benefits are that it allows us much longer range, you know, go figure, on our shots, as well as, I believe it provides the best strength bonuses, does it not? I actually don't remember. Yeah, there we go. That's what I thought. All right. And we actually don't lose too much in the way of fire rate as well. So this next section here, they felt the need to include a turret section. You can build a huge chain shot here, but unfortunately it doesn't amount to a ton. I think like the highest you can build maybe is like what, like a 40 something. But this whole section is just very like pew pew, and you just kind of have to memorize where the dogs kind of come out. You do want to kill like a bunch of the dogs in this section, because the way that you get an S rank on this mission is actually in part determined by how many dogs that you take out. And you don't want to fire so much. Like, you can't just hold down the fire button this entire time, because then that will lower your accuracy as well. And if your accuracy is too low, you might have killed a lot of dogs, but the accuracy might be too low to net you the S rank. It's all right. All right, so this is another section here where we're just going to kind of build a chain shot. And when these chains get kind of big, like Dan is going to try and get like I think a 14 chain, right? Is it 14 or 15 that you usually go for? 16 actually? Okay, cool, yeah. So the multiplier on these, when these shots get real big like this, they are, like, you deal a lot of damage. And so now we're going to get into the next boss fight. I forget the actual name of this enemy. Crimson Hound, yeah, that's right. So, and we're just going to kind of shoot it. And then it's down. We're going to grab the Thunder Materia and take it out. And then we're going to head into the Sunset Riders fight. And the Sunset Riders are essentially like a bunch of dudes just on motorbikes. And we have to kind of stand in a way, in such a way that they'll try and like ride at us. And then we can hit them like on the front of the bike and then shoot.
Yeah, chat, just so you know, we are working on it. So in the meantime, when we go through this, when does this game take place during the actual lore of Final Fantasy VII?
It's that last one. It's okay.
I believe it's the latest in the compilation. Actually, like I believe the game when it starts is like 3 years after the events of 7.
Okay.
And I think that's why, like, because there's, and it was also I think the last one to be made, was it not? Because like that's why all of them go A, B, C, D.
We're good.
Cool.
Okay.
Excellent.
3, 2, 1. Back into it.
Cool.
All right.
So we're gonna grab the gil here as well, which is what the S rank was really for, was to get a ton of gil out of this mission. And then we're going to head into a mission called Silent Edge, which is where we're going to see the biggest glitch in this game, which is called Zoom Climb, and then there's also Zoom Hover. So essentially, when you jump in the air, you can zoom and then cancel that zoom frame 1. This allows Vincent to slowly gain a little bit of height each time. We can also use this to maintain height by mashing at slower speeds. And then as a result, we get to just go over this electromagnetic barrier wall and just skip to the next part of the level here. Otherwise, we'd have to do a bunch of running around and talking to people, and that's slow, so we're just not going to do that. So then Dan is also going to do another zoom climb here, and then he's going to actually go over a load zone and just skip an entire loading screen, and he's going to just pass over an EM barrier, which skips having to like rescue this whole mission where you like rescue a kid and stuff. And like take out and like survive a bunch of snipers and everything, which takes a while. So we're just not going to do any of that. We're just going to skip right on over.
I'm glad I got that. That's the hardest zoom in the game.
That looked really.
Yeah,
that looked really, really hard.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to be, because you do zoom climbs on keyboard, right, Dan?
Yeah. So I guess not a lot of you guys would know, but I actually have a keyboard in my lap currently plugged into my PS2, because this game, funnily enough, does have keyboard and mouse support, and I have the buttons that I mash to zoom climb bound on my keyboard, and so I switch over to the keyboard to perform the glitch.
Yep.
Now, is that something?
So-
Is that something that if someone wanted to come into, is it almost like a requirement, so to say, or is it it makes things easier for you?
It's honestly just personal preference. The current world record holder of this game, he does his zoom climbs on controller. And we also have a Japanese speedrunner who also does it on controller. He is a legend at mashing,
Yeah.
by the way, yeah.
So, I think the majority of the people that run this game actually do everything on controller. I believe just Dan and NT1 are the ones that do like a hybrid sort of controller scheme.
Oh, that's not good.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
So I lost
The only
my
reason
chain
really-
right there.
Yeah, but you got a 6 though, so that's all right.
Yeah, 6 is better than nothing.
Yeah, that's true. And really the only reason that like most of us don't run on mouse and keyboard entirely is because there's actually mouse deceleration in this game. So, you know, most of the time, you know, games have a problem with mouse acceleration, but we have a problem with mouse deceleration. So pretty much nobody uses mouse aim because of that. Also, that guy totally just died. He was a heavy soldier. We'll see more of them later as regular enemies. This is one of the only times also where we're going to just take the level up instead of the gil. And that's just going to allow us... It's like there's not really a whole lot of gil you can get out of this level, so we just decide to level up. And it also helps because a little bit of amount of health and defense makes it a lot easier to sort of manage your health and not have to spend a ton on heals over the course of the game.
This chapter...
This is also one of the... Go ahead.
I was just going to say the same thing you were going to say. This is one of the shortest chapters in the speedrun.
Yep. So this level used to be really long because we'd have to go like climb this huge spiral staircase, but now we just zoom climb over this door. Okay, good. I didn't want to finish that sentence until we were done. And then we're now in here. So now we're underground, you know, nothing doing, never
We
doubted.
skipped like maybe 10
Like
minutes
90% of the level. Yeah, exactly. And now we're going to build a chain here where we're going to get the power cross. More about that later. And we're going to get a card key. We got to use the fire shot on those guys. Use another fire shot here. And then since Dan is a total G, he's not going to go for safety beer. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Let's go. All right, so we got the 14 chain. And then this character that everybody remembers called Shelk. We're going to fight her, and by fight her, I mean she's going to come up to us and like be like, ah, and then she's going to get headshot, and that's going to really just be the end of it because we built a 14 chain.
Important to note, we shoot her in the face, but she does not die. We do see her
That's
again
true.
later.
Yeah, later she just totally gets just like wrecked. She just gets dusted, and then she's just later like, it's fine. I just took a trip to the ER. It's cool.
All right, so that was the boss.
There she is. Yeah, there's the boss. Goodbye.
Wow, that was a blink and you miss it moment.
Yeah.
So someone in chat did ask this question, and a lot of people in chat answered. And so I also want to get your thoughts. So if someone is a casual Final Fantasy VII fan, and I'm assuming by casual meaning either they've only played Final Fantasy VII or they're playing the remake right now, not speedrunning, is this a game worth picking up for them? For me, I say yes, just only because I'm actually a big fan of Vincent.
Yeah, see, like, I'm also a Vincent enjoyer. I particularly like the part of this game where he, like, powers up and says, stand back, I'm beginning to dirge. And so I really thought that this game was, in an honest, you know, no memes aside, I thought this game was really, really fun. I enjoyed my playthrough of this thoroughly. I'm a big fan of, like, third-person shooters as well, in addition to action RPGs. And I really liked the mechanics that this game has, and really when you start to dig into the way that the way that the gun builds work and everything, it's just a super sick game, honestly. And like learning the speed run as well gave me like a whole new like a level of appreciation for it.
I also want everybody to know that I forgot to equip my Phoenix down until just now. So we were running a very scary game. I like to live life a little dangerously. But yeah, to add on to that, I'm also a big Vincent Valentine fan. I'm currently wearing a Vincent Valentine t-shirt, actually. And I think that Dirge of Cerberus will be important for the remake content that has been coming out. I would love if they made a remake of Dirge of Cerberus, but there may or may not be some characters that show up in this speedrun a little bit later who are already in FF7 Remake and the DLC.
And
Man, I would just take a PC port. Like,
Yeah, that's my little teaser for you guys.
I was going to say, I do believe one of those characters may be coming up in the next run, which is a race, by the way, in case you all are interested.
ooh. So we're going to hit these couple of buttons here. We've moved now into a level called Manor of Despair. And Dan actually picked up a key card and then climbed over a barrier. And you might think, well, you know, why couldn't you just have climbed over it anyway? Why'd you have to drop down and get the card? Because we actually get another key card from another enemy. And when when you complete this level, it always takes one key card out of your inventory. And I assume that this is to prevent exploits, you know, later in the game with having an extra key card. But more on that in a second. So Dan's going to actually set up a bunch of loadouts here for his guns. And essentially the way to think of this is the first gun in our loadout is the big damage dealer. It's got all of like the power upgrades and it's also got the fire materia on it. So that's a big physical damage dealer. The second gun that Dan has equipped currently is the big magic damage dealer. It's got the Thundaga elements on it, and it's got all the like things to power up your magic. And then the third gun is sort of like a backup damage dealer, as well as the weapon that is actually used to buff Vincent's melee attacks. That's why we got the power cross earlier. And the way that you sort of balance these weapons and like kind of determines the way that you approach all the fights in this game. You know, certain enemies you want to, and certain groups as well, you want to use gun 1 or gun 2. And there's even a couple of instances where we're going to use gun 3 specifically. We're going to also climb right over this thing as well.
I
Instead,
appreciate
we would go ahead.
I appreciate the nice zoom in on the face there that we got.
It's a beautiful face, man.
Yes.
It's a tradition. So now we're heading into the Ketchi stealth section, but obviously this is a speed run, so stealth is slow.
I just want you all to know that someone in chat just went off and said, "Too Dirge, too furious."
I love that.
That would be, I like that a lot too. Can Vin Diesel be like the villain of that game too? That would be incredible. This section, by the way, sometimes, like, if enemies are particularly on point with their aim, can get really dicey in terms of your health. Not to mention you can get shot during the loading there, like as the area deloads. And then other times they're just stormtroopers. So this coming up is actually, I think, this is probably the hardest. In my opinion, this is the hardest zoom climb in the game.
Definitely up there.
It's a tough one.
Again, it says I've not played this. I didn't know you actually played as Reeve in the game.
Okay.
Wait,
Don't start on this. So did you know that Reeve actually has magical powers, and he's called an Inspire, which allows him to breathe life into inanimate objects, and that's where Ketchi comes from. All right, here's the skip.
All right, so this is called short basement because we make the basement section short. And we're just going to kind of just fly out of bounds. And now you can see most of the structure of the level. And then we're just going to go over this door that would otherwise be locked. And we're going to grab a limit breaker. And then we're going to go here. And these unsuspecting fools here, we're just going to pass right by because they never actually aggro onto you unless you hit a certain trigger in the level.
Because they know better.
That's true, too. And so Dan is actually going to be opting for, there's 2 different chain shots you can do in this level. And Dan is going to be opting for the one that you're going to do here, where you do the, you know, the Robert Pattinson Batman jump, where he's like, I'm vengeance, and then comes down with the gun, and that's when you start the chain. See what I'm saying,
That's
man?
precisely what happened.
It's poetry in motion.
Now I just want something that just Vincent just sitting there going, "I'm Vincent Valentine," and like with like a Batman mask on or something.
I'm Vincent. All right, and this is. Hold on, did he get it?
We got it.
Buffer here on my end. Nice, excellent. You love to see it. Okay. So we got a 13 chain going on here.
I also swapped over to gun 2.
Yep.
And we're gonna see
this boss. Go ahead.
We're gonna see our first instance of using Thunder 3 to nuke a boss. So once again, Lincoln, you'll miss it. I'm gonna be saying that a lot during this run. Just don't blink. Watch this entire hour and 20-minute speed run and just don't blink for that long. Okay. There's the boss.
Yeah, the boss is dead now. The only reason that you cannot one-shot this boss is because damage is capped at 9,999.
Can't go above quad 9s in this game.
So you need like just one little additional boop, and then the boss is done.
Yeah, I think the boss literally has 10,000 HP, and you can only do 9,999.
Yep.
Huh. It's like it was built that way. I'm just sad that anytime you finish boss, you don't get the traditional Final Fantasy fanfare. Because I would love to hear Vincent in the most Vincent of tones give me the Final Fantasy fanfare.
I would love that.
I feel like they should just have like the Batman animated theme song play instead when he like beats a boss. So I mentioned earlier that a key card was going to get taken out of our inventory at the end of that level. So that's why we exited the level with 2 of them. Now we have 1. And we're going to be using this extra key card to skip an auto-scroller section where we would otherwise have to use a turret to take down some choppers. If you played this game casually, you probably remember that. I absolutely remembered that. And when I was starting to learn this game before Zoom Climb was really a thing, that was like a mandatory section of the run. And I wanted to get my no major glitches time down for a while, and then I realized, oh, we can skip this section, so I don't have to do this anymore. So I'm just going to learn any percent, and that'll be the end of it. So Dan's going to go ahead and use that extra key card on the door there, and then this enemy here is going to drop another key card. And so he's going to have this that he's going to carry like through this entire section, and he's just going to be able to walk through a door that otherwise you would have to wait until the end of this, like, was it 5 minutes or something? Something like that? This whole, like, chopper section? Yeah, it's just 5 minutes, just immediately shaved off the run.
I also wanted to quickly say, it was a close one when I was skipping all those cutscenes. We almost got plot. One of the cutscenes started playing.
Anything but that.
It was a close one. Later, Ladybug.
Do you guys think that they're gonna continue the like trend of making all of the remake stuff start with Re, and then they'll make like Dirge of Cerberus Revengeance? Nobody played Metal Gear Rising?
Yeah.
Wow.
What if it's just? What if instead of that, it's just literally Re-Dirge?
Re-Dirge?
Re-Dirge of
Oh, that'd be
Cerberus.
cool. Re-Dirging the Cerberus.
There you go. I don't think that's a real word, but you know.
Neither was Revengeance, so like, 1 for 1, I guess. All right, so there, like I said, we just skipped a whole section with a turret just by unlocking that door with a card key. And then we're going to head through here. Again, like city dashing really is just a super important technique in this game. I've told Dan this before that like there's so much like little time save in this run that comes from like clean city dashing, especially dealing with like, you're playing on a PS2, so you get some frame drops like here and there, especially in certain like very busy sections of the game. So like being able to manage the rhythm and keep that up like Dan is doing is really, really key to getting like a top time in this game, in addition to like landing all of the combat strats and stuff.
Where did that one guy go? There he is.
Is he? Man, he ran away.
He did.
He ran like
I've
away.
not seen that before.
No, neither have I.
Get your bingo cards out, guys.
He ran so far away. Couldn't get away.
All right. So this next boss here, this is another, again, blank and you'll miss it type of thing. So what's going to happen here is Dan is going to use Thundaga, and it's going to do a bunch of damage to the boss, and it's going to kill a bunch of the enemies around the boss, and that's going to build another chain shot. And then Dan's going to use Thundaga again, and that's going to kill the boss there. So it's basically 2 chain shots back to back.
There we go.
Yeah, so there it was. there it was. Goodbye, Black Widow.
I thoroughly enjoy the mid-2000s font that is in everything.
Oh,
It's incredible.
There's just something about that.
These mid-2000s, just PS2 games in general, just so much experimentation going on.
Yeah.
And killer fonts, too.
Yeah, we're after this chapter, we're coming up on another chapter that doesn't have any combat in it. I'm just gonna run around and skip cutscenes, and I would really appreciate it if DE Cosmic would enlighten us with trivia about the mid 2000s and/or Dirge of Cerberus.
Yeah, so apparently in 2006 was when Twitter was opened and when Facebook opened up to like anybody over age 13. That's pretty big for social media. I mean, obviously the biggest like thing that happened that year was that Dirge of Cerberus was released, but like barring that, of course, the 2006, like the top song was Irreplaceable by Beyonce, which pretty accurately describes this game, I feel. What else is there going on in 2006? Oh, I did want to mention too, like on the real, this game actually was released in Japan only at first. And the mechanics for it were like considerably different. Vincent did not have a double jump in that game. He did not have a dash. He had a roll instead. The camera was much more zoomed in when you aimed, and you were a lot slower. You lost a lot more movement like bonuses when you aimed, and the game was a lot less mobile in general. They really sort of honed in on like the shooter aspect of the game, and just sort of like, I guess, like a lot of like burst damage or whatever on enemies, but the game did not leave you a whole lot of agency to move around and really be this super like, terror of the night type of thing that Vincent truly is. And there was so they released it, and then I guess they got a bunch of feedback from people, and the version of Dirge of Cerberus that we all know and love now is actually the updated version from that original Japanese release. So they, released it sort of like, I guess, like a beta test in Japan only. And then later on, the updated version came out, and it fixed like a bunch of issues. Like zoom climbing isn't even possible in that original Japanese release because you cannot aim in the air, and you cannot shoot, and you cannot even melee in the air either. So there's just like, the ways that they changed the mechanics of this game, and they even like rebalanced a bunch of the weapon parts and everything, are just truly a testament to, I guess, to either the feedback that they got and how seriously they took it, or how after the original release they sort of all sat down and just banged out all of these changes and really sort of just came out with just like 100% a more fun and mobile game. It's really cool to see, especially because I believe, I mean, don't quote me on this, but I believe that like Square Enix is pretty much on record saying that they didn't bring in companies or developers that had worked on third-person shooters prior while making this game, because they really wanted to just do their own thing, and I think that's really cool.
Also, it's important to note that if anybody is interested in speedrunning this game, the North American version and the international version of Dirge of Cerberus are pretty much identical.
Yep, exactly identical.
So
yep.
if you're not in the United States and you want to run this game, pick up an international copy.
Yep, yeah. Like I believe PAL is also the same. I don't remember if PAL supports 60 hertz version, but I mean, I should probably buy that copy. That's like the only version that I'm missing from my collection. There's like a great place on my bookshelf where there's just 4 copies of Dirge sitting next to each other.
See, there's Shulk. She's still recovering from...
She's still recovering from the chain shot, dude. Just...
I do have to ask, on the pilot of this ship, I noticed, was that an Al Bhed?
No, that was supposed to be Sid, actually.
Yeah, that's Sid.
I mean, Al Bhed, Sid. I mean, Sid's an Al Bhed.
Al Sid?
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, no, I'll take it.
We're just throwing different games out there at this point.
Another beloved Final Fantasy title, Final Fantasy X-2, taught us that Midgar and Spira like exist in the same universe.
All right, so moving out of the lore dump section, the donation section, if there were a charity event, essentially, we're gonna move into is this Midgar Assault?
Yes,
this is Midgar Assault, right? I'm not tripping. Okay, cool. Yep, cool, excellent. Now I'm trying to remember what I had something witty to say here, but like it's totally left me right now. It's never going to come back to me. It's fine.
It'll come back at 3 a.m.
Right? Exactly.
I'll just tweet
I
it
will
out.
wake up.
Yeah, I remember that.
I will wake up 30 minutes before my alarm clock goes off, and I'll be like, darn it. There it was.
Yeah.
So we're going to head into Midgar Assault here. This level is pretty straightforward. It's another level that had some sections of it cut out by zoom climbing. And first things first here that Dan's going to do is just use a Thundaga on these dudes. Pew! I actually love the sound effect on Thundaga in this game. It's like... Sounds pretty dope. And then we're going to come on up here. And Dan's actually not going to kill any of these guys because otherwise it would reset his position. And he'd have to sit through like a whole load screen and everything. So he's just going to instead zoom climb over. And normally we would have to do like a whole little fight with these like red demon Roombas that attack.
That's okay.
Okay, cool. Yep.
I'm just sad we don't get to see that. We didn't get to see how that works in Advent Children.
What, the zoom climb?
Yes.
All right, so here's the demon Roombas. All right. If they want to come out at all, there they are.
If I were to mess up any zoom climb, I'm glad it was that one.
Yeah, true. All right, so now there would ordinarily be another place where we would build the chain shot if we skipped that fight, but Dan just built his chain right there, so we're going to carry this chain all the way to the boss here. This is one of the sections of the game where if you're kind of low on gil, maybe you've gotten hit a couple of times or you've died or whatever and you needed to buy another Phoenix down, there's actually a bunch of like backup gil deposits that are in this section. And you can pick those up as you see fit. If you had to use a limit breaker, which we haven't really talked about limit breaker, but we haven't really needed to, but I'll talk about it now. It's essentially Vincent's Devil Trigger form. It's done through like a shout out to Devil May Cry. It's essentially done through an item and it turns him into like a wolf form or like a beast form. And you get like fireballs that you can toss and all this other cool stuff. It's unfortunately not super useful outside of its melees. And it's very situational form, so we don't really use it a whole lot. But it is cool. And there are times where like you can also sell limit breakers to get money. So if you maybe needed to sell an extra limit breaker in order to get some money or whatever on one section, you could also pick up an extra one here. to just kind of make up for that. So pretty neat area to do some backups and stuff. And then by that time, you're now at the boss, and I think it's just the deep ground commander, and this dude's just gonna eat.
That guy was a boss.
Yeah, the raw end of the boomstick.
I haven't seen a lot of bosses here. I just see a lot of one-shots.
Yeah, Cosmic, you've been talking about this boss thing. I haven't seen one of them. I've been blinking a lot.
Look, man, if it's got a health bar, it's a boss.
There's a lot of bosses in this game.
There is, absolutely. So now we've got this 10 chain, and we've got enough MP for one more Thundaga shot. And Dan's gonna actually use this on the boss, okay, air quotes, boss. We'll go with that now, called the Shrikes. And the Shrikes you cannot one-shot, fortunately. It's more like a 4-shot or something. We're just gonna use the 10 chain to deal a ton of damage to them. And the way that this game actually scales the gil that you get, that was a lot of damage. Good stuff.
Yeah, I got full gil there.
That was excellent, dude. Never doubted. See, that was like 4 shots, and then they were dead.
We were talking before the run today, and I was like, I hope I get Shrikes, man. And Cosmic's like, you're going to get Shrikes. Don't worry.
Never doubted. That's why they call him Dynamite Dan, because he's the bomb.com. So,
man.
Yeah, man, of course. So now, the way that this game essentially scales, like the gil that you get, one of the parameters is like the damage that you can deal in large quantities. And so because we sort of like overloaded the amount of damage that we did to that boss, it gave us like a ton of gil. And then we just cashed out on it. So now Dan has like most of the, like pretty much all the upgrades that he could need, and then some. And so now we've just maxed out like our Cerberus thing, and this basically allows us to get all the damage upgrades that we could ever want very early on. I think that ordinarily we would have to go a couple of...
Try to get this. Hey, I got it.
I almost thought... Oh, nice. Excellent. Good stuff, dude.
So I just skipped the trigger to make the enemies spawn and skip that gate.
Yep. So that's a little bit time saved there.
Takes like 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's good. Are you gonna roll the RNG on these guys?
Absolutely not. Or sorry, I am gonna roll the RNG. I'm not zoom climbing over this.
I was gonna say brave, but there you go. I mean, these aren't bad EM barriers here.
Ooh.
They're certainly not rolling out the red carpet, so to speak, but you know, it ain't bad.
It's okay.
The mines are they're good. Yeah, ordinarily we would have to like wait 2 more levels to get all the upgrades that Dan currently has, but because he got that shot on the Strikes boss.
My favorite glitch in the game, these guys just sliding at me menacingly.
They heard that there was a rave, dude. They were like, we want to go. That guy got one shot too. This guy right here, if you shoot a fire shot at him, or for whatever reason, he gets stunned, and then you can just shoot him again, and then he gets off the turret, and then you can shoot him again, and he's dead. Walk into this room, they get hit by the Thundaga. That guy is going to always drop the key card. And then we're going to go down to an elevator. Down through an elevator, I should say.
Oh, we don't get elevator.
Yeah, ordinary. This is definitely like the part where they should have the fanfare at. I feel like
Yeah.
that would be excellent.
That would
Yeah.
be really funny.
So that when we get the remake after part 2, that's where they're going to put it, you know?
I believe Vincent's
like those-
his cell phone ringtone is the victory fanfare.
Is it really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Is it sung by Vincent?
It
Don't
should
think
be.
so.
Just the most monotone, like, why am I doing this? type
He's just like dun, 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 dun.
yeah.
So now, this is where you set up the chain shot, right?
Yep.
It's right here.
You want to
I'm not- okay,
explain,
cool.
Rosso?
Yeah, so Rosso, essentially what Dan is going to do is a trick called Limit Flex. Now, Rosso will go into different phases after she hits a certain health threshold. But if you totally just bypass that with a limit breaker, so like you can, I guess, cancel it or something. Cancel the way that the game treats it by canceling into a limit breaker after you shoot her. And this prevents the game from sort of capping off your damage. So if Dan gets this shot, you'll see what I mean.
Got it.
Yeah, I told you.
That was damage.
Never doubted.
So
So-
to kind of reiterate what Cosmic was talking about there, what happened is that this boss actually has two phases, but there's a shared health bar between the two phases. But when you get Rosso to a certain amount of HP, then she just a cutscene plays and goes right into phase 2. But what I did there when I used the limit breaker is I canceled the trigger to activate the cutscene. And so, I canceled the cap on your damage. And so when the cutscene played, the full damage carried through into the second phase, and then she was at 0 HP, and that's the win condition for the fight.
That was a much better explanation. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. So I one-phased a two-phase fight.
That's how sick this game is.
That's impressive. Thanks, game.
Who would have thought there would be animation and damage threshold cancels in Dirge of Cerberus? I actually didn't think that, to be honest with you, but this game is such a treasure trove of neat quirks and mechanics.
Yeah, this game's kind of sick.
Now, this game's kind of dope.
You know, I'd change my opinion. Midnight, you should play this game.
Absolutely. Can you imagine if in like the remake they give him like rocket skates like Sam from Vanquish? I would never play another third-person shooter again in my life. Just Vincent around on rocket skates. My gosh.
Speaking of shoes, I always have to talk about Vincent's shoes because they're just like, what size are they? And then the next question is, does his feet actually go all the way to that point? Like, does he have to have like custom-made shoes?
I think they're the size of cool, but other than maybe I don't know. Are they? I actually thought they were greaves. To be honest with you, sort of like how the gauntlet covers the actual like glove that he has on. Are those?
Oh,
maybe,
you're saying they're
know.
like plate mail shoes?
Yeah, I think that they're plate mail shoes.
I never thought
think
of
so,
that.
anyway.
Yeah, me neither. Chat can help.
I thought that they were just covering. Somebody said Hot Topic boots. Excellent.
Setting up another chain here for twin Black Widow.
Wait, Black Widow's in this movie? Or game? Or oh no, I just ruined my own bit. Bye.
Yeah, we fought a couple of them.
Yeah,
actually.
the spider bosses,
were-
but this one is Spider Boss but 2.
Yeah. They still go down in two hit or in one hit though, I think.
Yep.
Ideally.
Hopefully.
Yep.
Yep, there we go.
Yep. I actually don't really know how that chain shot works. Like, I think there's something with the way that the game treats the Thundaga hitbox and the boss hitbox, is it not?
Yeah,
'Cause that one sort of like eludes me a little bit.
Yeah, I'm shooting at an angle around the one on the ground's hitbox. And so it's Thundaga is technically like an AoE, like it has an AoE hitbox that goes out. It doesn't just target a single enemy. And so it is luckily doing equal damage to both bosses simultaneously. So they both go down to 0 HP at the same time.
What a sick move, dude. Praise be to Thundaga, honestly.
Ooh, my health is low.
Whew. A
Uh-oh.
little bit. The cool thing about like potions in this game is that at the health that we are at, high potions are like really, really cheap, and they're also super cost effective. So, I mean, even though you can carry, I think, only like 2 of them at a time, you should never really be like too shy to buy them if you need them, because I mean they're kind of decently easy to come by to begin with, but they heal like I think is it 700 or 800 health? I think it's 800, right?
I actually don't remember. Also, if anybody in chat needs to go to the bathroom, now's your time.
Yeah, this is the dedicated like bathroom break area of Dirge. This is where we slowly descend.
All right, well, we have a second, I guess. I can just go off and say, in the meantime, Frost Fatale's 2023 prize submissions are open until February 20th. Head on over to GameStoneQuick.com for more information, or use !prizes in Twitch chat to submit your prizes. And of course, if you want to follow what GameStoneQuick is up to, use !links in Twitch chat for all things GDQ. So while we got through all of this, what inspired you to speedrun Dirge of Cerberus?
You know, I've been streaming for a very long time, since 2014, and I've always streamed off and on. Like, I take month-long breaks and whatnot, but back in the day, one of my viewers at the time actually sent me their copy of Dirge of Cerberus, and I had never played Dirge of Cerberus before, but they were like, hey, I'd really like to see you stream this game. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll play it. And played through the game in one sitting, because it's a relatively short game, even casually. And just decided that I thought the game was cool. I really liked Vincent as a character, and looked into speedrunning it, and I've been a part of the speedrunning scene ever since.
And this area right here. I like the disc loading screen right there. Like the disc just spinning. It's like, no, Vincent, you're too fast. Stop.
Just imagine that just in real life. You're just walking around and all of a sudden a disc comes out of nowhere, just starts spinning, and then just fades away out of obscurity.
Area loading. It's like, but this is my house. Shouldn't this be cached up already?
We have another elevator here, but I do have to take out some guards that are gonna try to snipe me.
Yeah, and the sort of dicey part of this section is that Dan kind of has to wait for, at least on a couple of the guards, Dan kind of has to wait for Vincent's aim level to be away from the bombs that are currently surrounding him. Because if a stray bullet actually goes, off in a direction, then he can very well just, man, you really just sent my heart into my throat right there real quick. Like a stray bullet could have just gone onto any of those bombs, and then Dan would have just been like, they would have just all blown up.
Yeah, I guess we also forgot to mention that in this game, I forget if the actual shooting mechanics of this game are hit scan or like an actual projectile, but Vincent actually shoots 3 bullets out of his gun. My magazine has 18 out of 18 in it currently, but I shoot 3 bullets at a time. So the next time you see me shoot, you'll notice that it actually ticks down 3 bullets at a time.
Yeah, and those bullets can actually miss. Also, this is a small skip. This is a really cool one, too, because we're just going to go right through that door. And that is only possible because of city dashing. So, movement tech. Yes. Uh-oh. Nice.
Covered that.
And this is another chain shot here. Going to build this up. That's right. We do the chain shot setup on this changed, right?
Yeah, it did. It's way easier now.
Yeah, it's super fast.
Remember when this boss used to be hard?
Yeah, kind of. I've still lost. I definitely haven't lost runs to him within the past year. Definitely not. And so you do what, Thundaga here now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tight.
I don't have enough mana. Whoops.
Oh no.
I was wondering about.
There we go.
I was wondering about that.
I had it. I had an ether. We're good.
There you go. So now that Azul is down, I used to have to headshot him and everything, and that was all tricky and stuff. Now Dan is going to switch to his third weapon, which is going to beef up his melee attacks, and he's going to go into the Limit Breaker form. And he's going to do these good old melees to this guy. And just heal on through the damage that's done to him. And just dice it and just chop him up.
Nice. So I did want to ask this question because I know, as somewhat of a joke, because this is the mid-2000s. So if we had to put a soundtrack to this, what bands do we think would be in the soundtrack aside from Hoobastank? Because we all know Hoobastank's going to be in there.
You broke his
totally
brain with
like
all the
drawn-
possibilities.
I'll let Chad have
totally-
fun with that.
Yeah, for real. Like, I'm totally just drawing a blank. Like, I was going to say Limp Bizkit, and then I was like, that's a little more early 2000s. That's not so much like mid 2000s. So I feel like that just misses the boat. Linkin Park. Okay, yeah, definitely. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
That one again. Come on.
So here's another zoom climb here, and Dan's going to be kind of skipping over a trigger for some gargoyles that come out.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Well, I
Gotta
did not
restart the
skip the
level, I guess.
gargoyles trigger. We have to do gargoyles.
Oh, okay.
It's all good.
I thought you were just going to restart the level, to be honest.
We're here now.
We're committed. I'm very glad that chat is much better at remembering bands during the era of when I grew up than I am.
I'm just glad someone said Stabbing Westward.
True.
That's a band that I don't know how many people remember.
I definitely feel like I've seen Vincent AMVs to a Breaking
Where is
Benjamin
he?
song as
Yeah,
well.
I could
at
easily
some
see
point.
that. Right, yeah.
Gargoyle. Here, boy.
Where did he go?
Where is he?
I have absolutely no
Oh,
idea.
no.
I hear him, but I don't see him.
Just like Batman.
Gargoyle was just trying to play, hide and seek.
All right, where is this guy?
They blend into this background so well that sometimes, like, if you just lose the pattern, then it's like, it's just all ogre, dude.
There he is.
Yes, there we go. Nice.
All that and just bam.
Bam. All right, so now since we got that,
Yeah, because I had to do gargoyles there, my route changes slightly.
slightly, yep. So we're gonna grab the key card there. And then we're gonna shoot these guys down. And we also want to use a couple of Thandagas on the enemies that are coming out here. And then we're gonna zoom climb over this thing here. And we're kind of just stacking key cards at this point in the game to be using later on to skip a bunch of fights. Very nice.
That I want to see in the remake. Is everyone gets trapped behind a door and Vincent's like, no, I got this. And they just hovers ever so slowly.
Stand back. I got this. It's Dirge in time.
You have to say it's Dirge in time. Just feel like everyone would just be just the most confused look on their face. And then, Kate sits over here. It's just like, I know what you're doing. Let's go.
Everybody else is like, when did he learn to do that?
Yeah.
Whoever ends up
wouldn't
doing the
possibly
voice of
understand.
Vincent in the remake, I want to have them on Cameo. Do it's Sturgeon time.
I want to see that so badly.
All right, so now we're going to take out the Black Armor Soldier here. So the Black Armor Soldiers are enemies that are immune to physical attacks, so we have to use Thundaga in order to damage them. Because it's just our strongest spell, you can pretty much damage them with any magic attack, but we're going to use Thundaga since that is the one that we have equipped currently. So now, Dan is going to just do this super cool zoom climb here as well. In the other route where we would skip gargoyles, we would actually go, I believe you actually just go down here, right? To the bottom and then grab the key card.
Yeah, you
right?
go down to the bottom,
route?
grab the key card,
Yeah.
and then climb up all the ladders.
Yep, exactly. And then we're going to go into another small auto-scroller.
Also,
And go ahead.
he also shouts out to the sound effect of jumping.
Oh yeah, it's constant. It haunts my nightmares.
It sounds like an extremely like edgy Link, you know? Like I feel like they would just be like buddies. Just Link is just like, huh, and then Vince is just like right behind him, like just scooting across the battlefield, like Link's like, finally somebody who can communicate with me. I got you, dude. Don't worry about it.
The crossover we really saw coming but desperately needed.
Speaking of which, in 2006, that was when I believe Western Union actually sent their last telegram. And it said 2 words, which was just, that was it.
That one actually got me. I don't know why this just came into my mind, but I just had a visual image of King Zora scooting to the side in Ocarina of Time where he does his little but it's oh man.
I can just see.
I think we've actually
Vincent walking into a room and there's nothing just but pots there, and he just goes and starts shooting at him.
And then somebody's just like, why didn't you just Thundaga, dude? And he's like, oh yeah, right. I could have just done that. But this was more fun.
So this is
so fun fact too, you can go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, this is also a pretty neat time to explain another interesting mechanic that's in this game. Vincent can actually deflect bullets when he dashes into them, and so the physical bullets that are being shot at us by the dragonfly currently, I'm just spamming the dash button in hopes that I can deflect the bullets coming at me to mitigate some of the damage.
Yep. This is actually one of the sections too where it's not too detrimental to die as well, because there's no time loss for dying on this cart right here because it just keeps moving during your downed animation as well. So if you have to, you know, like take a death anywhere, this is really the place to do it. I also don't think that the roll, don't quote me on this, but I don't think that the roll that was in the original Japanese release could deflect bullets either. So cool buff that they made for the dash as well.
Yeah.
In this game. This game also, or this section also, I believe, heals you back to full as well. So you can avoid having to heal up if you survive with like just enough health. Once we drop down in here too. This is also the section of the game where Vincent just drops like a line out of nowhere where he's just like, you know what to do, Cerberus.
Yeah, Vincent's super chatty in this chapter. I love it. Because aside from we
I
don't.
appreciate how the Vincent impression is basically just Batman in a Final Fantasy world.
I mean, it's gotta be, man.
Yeah,
He's just like,
yeah.
Where's the Mako?
Vincent
You know,
is
like, that's
Final
it.
Fantasy Batman. Let's be real.
That's true. That's facts.
Yeah.
So then we're going to come down here to these guys. We're going to get, it doesn't really matter the chain here that we get. Dan is going to actually grab a key card off of these guys, and we're going to keep it on us as well. And we're going to go ahead and skip this fight with a zoom climb as well. And this is going to allow us to skip another turret section as well. So really interesting sort of how like the zoom climb doesn't necessarily negate a bunch of the combat in the game. It just makes it so that the way we route the key cards is like really interesting, because a lot of the top runners sort of calculated like which key cards were worth it to grab and which of the fights were the shortest to do as a result of zoom climb being found. So there was a ton of research that was done into the way that this would affect the gill route and the upgrades we would get and all this other stuff. It's actually a pretty complex, complexly routed game.
Yeah, one of the people in our community actually created a damage calculator for this game that incorporates what level you are, what upgrades you have, and it's also just recently, I think just today, is available in Japanese now.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned him yet, but his name is Shademp, and he is like the Dirge encyclopedia. He's contributed like the way that the run exists now pretty much would not be possible without his contributions to the game, from testing strats to finding glitches and just general game knowledge that he's sort of bestowed upon the community. He is like an invaluable part of the Dirge speedrun.
For sure.
Again, I do not joke when I say this game would not be what it is today in terms of a speedrun without him.
This is actually, like you were saying, it's a complex speedrun. I was not expecting a lot of the stuff because, again, I came into this fresh and I'm just, wow, there's so much.
Yep. There's two, ways that you can approach a game like this. And really the way that Dirge shines is that it's a game where you can really show people that something that seems very simple on the surface can be so complex. It's sort of like analyzing, a movie that
Real
people
quick,
might
I
not
might
think
die
is.
here. This is the
okay. Go
courtyard
ahead.
of
Yeah,
death.
this is fun. This is great.
Let me through.
Do it.
Woo, whew.
Woohoo! Okay, we made it out.
So yeah, that was the courtyard of death. I don't think it needs an explanation, but there was a guy on a turret off to the right of the doorway. I'm also going so fast through the game that there's an invisible load wall in that doorway, but they can still shoot me through it. And so I'm just hoping and praying that the load wall goes away so I can flee and move on.
Oh, no.
I think there's also randomly in this part that we're coming up on a key card, but there's nothing you can use this key card for afterwards. Yep. Like this whole mission. Yeah, there it is. This whole mission is just like one big fake out, essentially. Because there's also an item. There's also an item in this level called a potoin, and it heals 1 damage. So it's not a potion, it's a potoin.
Hey, I recognize this guy.
Hey, look at this guy.
Huh.
You might know him from FF7 Remake Intermission.
Which is next. Which is foreshadowing that. But I just have to ask, why are there so many, security cards all over the place that you can just grab? Wouldn't that... I don't know. I'm trying to run
defeat the purpose of security.
Cards all over the place, or key cards. Seems kind of like a bad idea.
Well, I bet Deep Ground is just an HR nightmare, and guards are leaving their key cards around everywhere. It's a whole thing. Security clearance is just a joke at this point. Anybody can go through any door.
They heard Vincent was coming and they were like, "It's the bat," and then they just all dropped their key cards and ran. So again, Dan is like leveling up a lot now because of the Shrike's money that he got. This really makes the end of the game like super safe in terms of like the health that you have. So Dan is like having to heal less and less because he's got more health. here in the end game, where before, like, you didn't really start healing until the last, like, couple of levels, but he's been able to level up a few times here. So that Shrike's money really coming in handy. So here we are in beginnings, and this is, as the title would have you believe, the beginning of the end, so to speak. This is officially like the late game area. And this area definitely kind of, I guess, melds a lot of the different things that you learn to do in this game. Definitely the movement, I think, is probably the most important part of this, but I think there's like a little bit of everything in this level, but mostly we're just kind of cruising through. A lot of descending. Is this the... Oh, yeah. What's up? This is also the section where, like, a key card can kind of... has a chance to fall out of bounds. That's no fun.
Oh, yeah, that's coming up
Goodness.
pretty soon here.
That must be equivalent to your cell phone falling into like a drain pipe or something.
I'm a genius. Oh, no!
Yeah.
And then you see the key card just fall out. But essentially what happens is, I think, so the enemy that we're going to come up on here in a second, when he like bounces and dies from like the Thundaga shots or whatever, there's a chance that the key card can like drop like to either side of him, and it can just sort of fall to the below, like out of bounds off of this bridge. But since Dan's awesome at this game, there he goes. Yeah, he's dead. This guy here is cool. He's just kind of pushing this machine gun.
And I was like afraid that it happened. I was like, no.
See, this is like the reverse commentator's curse, right? Or I guess so commentator's blessing. It's like I talk like something will happen, and then it won't happen. But if it's the other way around, then it's definitely going to happen.
Ow.
The strats.
Oh, unfortunate.
Then that needs to be in a note somewhere. Everyone talks about commentator's curse. No one talks about commentator's blessing.
That's true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
So now you have a 7 chain. No, never mind. That's not going to come in useful anywhere. So here's another zoom climb. I think this is actually the last zoom climb of the game. And it's to skip the last dragonfly fight.
Yeah, I'm skipping a boss trigger right now. Wrong gun.
This is like a negative one shot because you just skip over the boss that you would otherwise be like dealing a ton of damage to.
Yeah, we don't even interact with that boss. There we go.
At some point,
There we go.
I just want to find a boss named Chrono so we can skip it. So we can say it's a Chrono trigger.
Nice.
Excellent. So now we're going to come up on Arachnero. And essentially the way this works is that Arachnero has a shield around it that you can destroy by, spoilers, shooting at it. And you just sort of have to spam the gun at it. Do you switch to semi-auto here still?
No.
Dan?
I just switched to gun 3 and I scope in.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, so what we used to do here is this game has 3 forms of aiming. There's manual, which requires you to have your like reticle right over an enemy in order for bullets to land. There's auto, where the game will just kind of like snap you to enemies, and you'll be able to hit them that way. Or there's semi-auto, where it's like it's kind of generous but not really. So like Dan is now kind of forcing a semi-auto form of firing by aiming down the sights with a gun that doesn't have a scope on it. And for whatever reason, I don't really remember why this happens, but when you do semi-auto aiming on Arachnero, it helps to take down the shield faster. Also, here's Gorgon Nero, which is essentially just Nero, but he's going to do like one attack to us. Here, he's just going to kind of teleport around.
I got the
we should be able
spawn.
to just kill him here. Yeah, that's like the worst RNG. You kind of just have to like stare him in the face, and he like jump scares you when you zoom in at that point, but yeah, nothing doing. I think it's pretty much always a 2 cycle, so no time loss really there.
Yeah, there is a way to get a 1 cycle on this boss. I was trying to go for it, but you can build... You only need a 2 chain on Arachnero by destroying the shield 3 times. And I got it 1 time, and I think the face that I made was legendary when it happened.
So here's the next boss, Weiss. And he's super powerful. Once the load screen's over.
PlayStation load screens.
Yeah,
I'm kind of shocked it doesn't even
yes.
say now loading. You occasionally get the little thing at the top, but that like...
yeah. That's one of the unfortunate things about this game is that the loading screen is just a black screen.
I would be legit terrified because you can just sit there and wait for a half hour.
One of the copies that I had of this game before, it would just like infinite load right here all the time. So I had to return it and get a different copy. It was quite a sad day in my life when I discovered that. This is the part of the game too where we see Hojo from Final Fantasy VII. And in the words of Dynamite Dan, when I was asking him to remember the plot of this game, he said that this is the part of the game where Hojo wants to become the internet. And he then tries to, I guess he implants himself into Weiss or Vice and becomes Vice empowered. And then we turn on a limit breaker here, and Vincent is turning into chaos right now. Yes, you can get out all your Strangers of Paradise memes now, chat. And we mash on the gun shot here. And Dan actually, I think, I want to say out of like pretty much all the runners, I think Dan does the chaining of the shots there the best in terms of the rhythm. To kill empowered Weiss. Just really, really consistent damage output.
Yeah, I also forgot to say, I recognize that boss too. I feel like I've seen that boss somewhere.
Yeah.
Possibly. So now, say goodbye to all of the stuff that we learned about Vincent in terms of mechanics here, because now we've turned into chaos. And this is the part of the game where Jack Garland interrupts all of our fun, or it would be if this were the remake, probably.
Probably.
That's actually the plot of Stranger of Paradise 2, probably, is just like Jack shows up and just ruins the events of Dirge of Cerberus. He's just like, no, Vincent, this can't happen. Vincent's like, okay, fine, I guess.
No, I would see, yeah. As much as I am, have my feelings about the whole like the metaverse and all that meme, just to have Stranger of Paradise 2, just to go into every single Final Fantasy game and just like mess with the main characters.
He just gives them all a pep talk.
Yeah,
he's like, you listen here. He's like, it's like Gordon Ramsay. If he like Jack needs like his own kitchen nightmares, but with like all of the Final Fantasy games. So now we are in Chaos Vincent form. And this is this where Gact shows up?
Not yet. We've got a little bit more before Gact.
Okay. See, like I'm so focused on like the movement in these sections, I can never tell if like if Gact is actually playing here until much later. So the interesting thing about these levels is that the stun animations that you're seeing here are actually the same length as it takes Vincent to pull out his gun and shoot an enemy. So the way that you sort of calculate your time save and the risks that you want to take in these parts of the game is it more worth for you to just sort of dart through all these enemies and risk getting hit, or do you want to play it safe and shoot a couple down and then move through? Because you can save a lot of time by just sort of doing a bunch of dashes and not stopping to kill anything, but in certain areas you can get stunned quite a bit. So you kind of have to do a balancing act there between shooting certain enemies and skipping past the other ones. Here's also Gact playing.
Yeah, by the way, banger alert.
Banger alert indeed.
that's what happens. I like how like there was this classical thing in the 90s, and then when we hit like 2000 is when it got into like the Black Mage's heavy metal era of Final Fantasy themes.
Oh yeah,
it's so good. Like, and then Gact actually went on to do like a song for DMC5 as well. So sort of like, and which is very much, a game also that harkens back to this era. Like you said, sort of Black Mages?
Yeah, so
Style?
Black Mages
Yeah,
was the main composer of Final Fantasy. He did a side project and basically rearranged all the Final Fantasy themes as heavy metal music.
Oh, that's awesome.
Also, I think Gact did the main theme for Star Ocean, the Divine Force, as well. I know it says Hyde, but I can't remember if Gact is a part of Hyde now or not.
I actually don't remember.
Yeah. Chat, help.
So then this right here, we're going to go on through here. This is just like a lot of movement. We're kind of just approaching the end game. It's unfortunate, like that we lose a lot of the cool movement stuff that we've been doing, like all game, and we lose a bunch of the chain shot stuff, but we gain this super powerful form for the last couple of levels.
Yeah, we also have a new gun too. It's Death Penalty, which is Vincent's ultimate gun from FF7. And with that, we're about to enter the final chapter.
Oh, fun.
It also appears I misspoke on the DMC5 stuff. That was Hyde, not Gact. I wanted it so bad.
Yeah,
apparently.
I was like, Gact did a DMC5 song? I don't know this.
Well,
maybe I just confused the two of them, which, fair enough, I guess.
Me, because I know, me being the Star Ocean fan that I am, I know Hyde was making the soundtrack for the new Star Ocean game, and then I heard that through Devil May Cry 5, but I also didn't. I know Hyde's a band, so I didn't know if Gact did a solo act under and did it like that. So I don't know. Again, chat can help with that. I need to learn a little bit more about my Japanese metal, apparently.
So this is Crystal Feelers. This is an infamous run killer because the way that this quote-unquote boss works is the Crystal Feelers are all numbered, I think, 1 through 6 or 1 through 7, and the game just rolls a die in terms of which one it's going to pop up and open up. But it doesn't eliminate any numbers from the die whenever one of the feelers dies. So it can keep rolling inactive feelers, and you just kind of have to stand here until it rolls the correct one. But those were pretty decent.
Yeah, that wasn't
But
bad.
you can lose a minute. You can lose a minute or something if it rolls incorrectly. Here's also the Omega Cocoon. This thing is going to go down, and then we're going to get Omega Vice.
Yep, we're on the last boss now.
Yep, time's coming up soon. I will let you go ahead and call for it, Dan, but I'll quickly explain here that we're going to use the limit breakers here to make it so that Vincent's gun goes from, a pretty fast firing rate to a super fast firing rate, and we don't have to reload at all while the limit breaker is active. So Dan is going to get tons of damage here and just lay into Omega Vice, and he's going to try and hit some sweet spots as well to get 2,000 or 3,000 damage a pop. So this is what Zone of the Enders 3 looks like.
Once he hits 0 HP, that's time.
Nice.
Nice. GG, dude. Good run.
Good run, yeah.
That was Dirge of Cerberus.
Really impressive. Good run. So if anyone wanted to learn more about the run, if anyone was interested about maybe I know there's a lot of people who are interested oh, I totally forgot about this game. Maybe they're ooh, this seems like a really good run to learn. Where could they go to get more information?
Yeah, so the place that you want to go is speedrun.com. Check out the Dirge of Cerberus page. We have a link to our community Discord that you can join, absolutely. I also have a video resource on how to speedrun this game on my YouTube channel at Dynamite Dan TNT. We're currently working on a written guide right now because the video guide is slightly out of date. So we're working on a written guide right now, and please come. If you want to learn this game, please come join us. We'd love to have you.
It's the Discord is also lovely and called the Dirge Cord.
It is called the
for
Dirge
those
Court,
not
yeah.
into- That's true, yeah. And if you want to follow Dan, you can do so at twitch.tv/DynamiteDanTNT.
All right. And if anyone wants to follow you, Cosmic, because you didn't give your, shout out there.
Oh, well, I wanted to at least make sure that he was covered since...
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to follow me, twitch.tv/DECosmic.
All right. Any final shout outs y'all want to talk about?
I don't think so.
Shout out to Dirge.
Yes, shout out
Shout out
Dirge.
to Dirge.
Shout out Gact.
I think that we covered I think we covered a lot of people during the run itself, but I do want to reiterate Shaydemp, who, this run would not be what it is without him. NT1 Evolution, who really was one of the front runners during the early days of Dirge, and I think is actually responsible for a lot of the current Gil route as well. Definitely is responsible for a lot of math on that end. City Hall, definitely like a long-time grinder of this game, absolutely phenomenal player. Also one of like the chillest dudes ever. He went for Halloween as a load screen from the Shara. Like one of the load screens in this game. He was one of the load screens that doesn't have a checkpoint on it. So like if you mash doesn't have like a cutscene skip on it. So if you mash too hard, you can accidentally reset checkpoint. And he said it was one of the scariest things he's ever experienced. And then I also want to shout out Ganma, who is the Japanese runner and current world record holder. Absolutely phenomenal player. Kind of came out of nowhere and was just really, really solid. And has represented the game as well at like RTA in Japan. So yeah, really, really solid group of dudes. And I also want to shout out the guys on the FF Relay that showcased Dirge this year as well on the FF Relay.
All right. Well, thank you both so much for showcasing that amazing Dirge of Cerberus run. If you like Final Fantasy VII, don't worry. We do have some more Final Fantasy VII coming up here in a moment. We'll be doing a race of Final Fantasy VII Remake Intermission, the Yuffie/DLC %. So stay tuned while we get things set up. This is a great opportunity to get up, stretch, get some water, all that. And don't forget your subs, Prime Gaming subs, gift subs, and bits cheered on the GDQ Twitch channel. Help support Games Done Quick Hotfix. Please consider subscribing if you enjoy the daily speedrunning content. Once again, we'll be right back with Final Fantasy VII Remake Yuffie %. All right, and welcome back to the Bargain Bin. We got some great stuff coming up here in a little bit. Do not forget that Unapologetically Black and Fast was this previous weekend, but if you missed the show, you can check out the VOD at our YouTube. And speaking of YouTube, hello YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to hit that like button on the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, head on over to twitch.tv/GamesDoneQuick, where you can catch all of our live content starting weeknights at 7 p.m. Eastern and weekends at 1 p.m. Eastern. And without further ado, I'll take it away to our two runners, The Sid and Steamed Hams with Cheese, doing a race of Final Fantasy VII Remake Intermission Yuffie DLC. That is a mouthful.
Yeah. We usually just colloquially call it Yuffie % because it's a Yuffie DLC, but it's so many stupid titles. It's just easier because like the main category is your normal any %. This is much shorter and much more palatable until you get to the high times, and then every silly little thing throws your run under the bus. But I'm the Sid. I'm running this against my will. And Steam Hams here is going to be racing with me for what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 times?
This be the 6th time, yes. And he's lying to everyone. This is definitely not against his will. He loves it.
This is literally turning into the Endless 8 for me. I can't escape. All right, we're ready to start whenever you guys are. Just let us know.
Yeah, just whenever you're ready.
All right, so I'll count us in. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so
Good
right
luck.
off the bat, good luck, good luck. Yeah, I'm so used to doing my own, just like grinding commentary out without even thinking about it. Forgot to say good luck. So at the start here, we got a couple of fights. There's 4 total that will give us the OG victory animation.
I just made
but
a mistake.
Uh-oh.
Oops.
I managed to skip.
Go ahead. No.
What'd
sorry.
you do? You want me to restart?
I did not reset my menu.
All
Okay. We can restart, man. I don't want to have an unfair advantage.
Oh
Don't worry
man,
about
that's embarrassing.
it. Hey, man, it doesn't matter. I showed off the dance skip, so I'll get it this time, and it'll all be fair.
Everyone ignore Steam. This is my first time playing this game for sure.
Yeah, we definitely haven't raced this 100 bazillion times at this point.
Jeez. I'm sorry, everyone.
Oh, it's no problem.
All right, let's
Just
make
let
sure
me
the
know when you're-
accessories are right. Yeah. Luckily, the menus are not too hard to set up, which is also, interestingly enough, why I like to run this game. All right, I'm ready.
Yeah. Optimally, you have like 2 or 3 menus. All right, let's try again. 3, 2, 1, go.
Let go.
All right. So we got a cutscene to skip right off the bat here, and got a couple of fights here. As you may have seen, I kind of wandered through these without really anything going on. If I handle these fights right, I'll be able to skip the OG dance animation. It's not 100% guaranteed, so we kind of like play fast and risky to get through it. Oh, no.
Oh,
That Gorger went up the wall for me. He was really not having a blast. If we attack so aggressively, sometimes enemies can just walk out of the spell, unfortunately, because we're getting things done before combat starts. Whoop. That's not how you do that.
and
Gotta jump.
inversely, we're pretty much starting the shortcuts before the battle even starts. So the enemies don't even know we're there while we're killing them.
Yeah, I think what happens is their like AI doesn't trigger properly, so the spell is supposed to stun them, and the game kind of marks that by saying they're in pressure. But because we fire it off so aggressively, they just go, huh? What? What'd you say? And then just walk off. Like a confused individual. Nope, that is not the one I want to load. Thank you. So the save load here drops the elevator a little bit quicker. I was just about to load some endgame practice save for a minute there. I can't tell you how often I accidentally rotate to the bottom. As long as I'm not overwriting my practice save files, I'm fine. All right, we got a 4 for 4. What are you at, Steamed?
I'm at 2 for about to be maybe 3 for 4.
Okay, so if maybe you've been paying attention to Steam.
Yeah, 3 for 4.
We get the little dance animation if we don't handle the fight correctly. It's not, I don't think it's an intended mechanic. I think we just handle the fight so quickly, the game kind of goes, shrug, and just lets us go. Because you can tell the shuriken just kind of disappears into Yuffie's hands rather than her putting it away normally. If you want to see the dance animation, you can always go to the VR chamber or boot up a game yourself and take your sweet time fighting those guys, but I think I want to go fast.
Or just
They
watch
cost-
my side that I missed one, so I got the dance animation. So
Yeah, it costs about 4 seconds a pop. So in terms of a race, it's unless somebody gets like all 4 and the other person like hits all 4, it's not really that big of a decider. But it definitely. Go ahead.
Thankfully for me, there's a lot more RNG left in this run, so I have plenty of time to make up those 8 to 12 seconds that I lost.
Literally RNG.exe here. Okay, and the dogs agreed with me. Nice.
Yeah, you think this game would not have RNG, but it's most certainly does. Just like that.
Yeah. We just fire off spells so aggressively the game just goes, do what now? I did a practice run earlier where both the dogs like got loose and I just got punched in the face. The problem is, in the main category, we have access to Fury Rings, which are a much simpler accessory. They give us permanent Berserk, which is a 30% damage buff, but also increase our damage taken by 30%, which can be useful in some scenarios, but the devs saw fit that no fun was allowed in this category, so they didn't give us any of those. So a few other things I'm a little salty about, like we could actually heavily abuse enemy skill and self-destruct, and it would have been really useful with the bad stats that we have in this category, which I'll go into in a second, but we don't get that either.
That's probably a good reason that they didn't give us Fury Ring for this, for the DLC, probably because we're already overpowered, because we only have 2 characters.
I would very
versus
much...
the 3 in the main game, so we are...
Oh, you mean the main game being overpowered versus this?
No, but the Fury Ring being overpowered in this because we're already overpowered because we only have 2 characters.
I'm gonna have to hard disagree on that being overpowered.
Okay.
So, for my experience with playing the main category in hard, the enemies are very difficult, but one of the main differences is we have one controllable character, the other one is completely out of our control. And if you compare our stats to the main game, Cloud's a very good switch hitter. He can balance back between physical and magical. We have 2 magic ups in that in the main category versus 1 here. We do have 2 luck ups, but that's I don't speak of luck ups. I've been told to never reference them ever again by the rest of the main game runners. So those don't exist. Tifa just hits like a freight train physically, even though there's no stat bonus there. Aerith has nearly 500 magic attack, so her magic is just a one-shot machine. And then there's Barret, who's intended to be a tank. We basically have 2 Barrets. Yeah. So we really have to work extremely hard to push through the damage we need here. So we're going to do Fort Condor really quick. Since we're on New Game Plus, we can choose the board we start with. And we're going to be using the Sorcerer 3 board. You can also use Assassin 2. Yes, this is the remake. This is actually the DLC for Final Fantasy VII Remake. So it's a bit shorter and it's based on Yuffie. She has a lot of specialized combat mechanics that are different. So we have not Jesse, not Biggs, not Wedge, and they're definitely not important characters. The only thing important is Naoya, who will hopefully give us a nice boost to save us a little bit of time, but there's no guarantee we can set that up. Getting a boost from an NPC is pretty difficult. But yeah, Fort Condor comes and goes. Go ahead.
Nayo Boost is it's an interesting setup. I'm sure we'll try to explain it when we get there, but yeah, it's one of those things where you try to get an NPC to push you in a direction, and it ends up making you go much faster. And by much faster, I mean 2 to 3 seconds.
I almost walked away after one conversation with Naoya.
Twice, Sid. You need to talk twice.
Yeah, we have to talk to everybody twice. I start on the right and go to the left just because it's a little bit closer. I think you actually get a few extra dialogue lines because of you going right to left, but I don't think it's a big enough time loss.
I had never noticed the difference, but maybe.
Well, I know the one that does the Condor minigame has like 1 or 2 additional dialogue lines if you go to him first. For new game, it's pretty much like you always want to go that direction because they don't have access to spells. They'll actually need to deploy units to take out the enemy forts. I did fix mine today because you can cast ice a little bit too far away and completely whiff. So I did that during practice and I got really spooked. So I changed my units to have the dog just in case because I was so terrified. The problem is you can't reset that because it's a tutorial game. So you're basically, if you miss with the spells, you're going to have to do the damage some other way. And the spells don't regenerate, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, if you were trying to do like a no reset run, I guess you would have the dog as
No,
backup,
you can't reset the tutorial.
Oh, I just meant like reset the run.
Oh yeah, that's the only for a marathon. This is the only reason you wouldn't just go. Well, I rage quit. Start again.
Yeah.
So right here we finally get Sonon. I was going over the Fury Ring earlier. We do have access to Goddardumrung and a different accessory called Kindred Cord. We'll be using Goddardumrung on Sonon for most of the game. That is not in the right position at all. I'm not getting anything out of this. Wow, the NPC saved it. Gave me a little bit of a boost. Wow. I almost overshot it. One of the NPCs kind of circled around and pushed me back into her.
Yeah, you gotta watch out for that other NPC coming at you.
He actually saved me because I overshot it. Got a little bit of a boost.
I think I got good position. Maybe no,
I think you're a little bit too far away.
Yeah, I'm way too far back.
You have to be like in between the metal plates and the pipe.
Yes.
I've only got like a little bit, probably like a 1 or 2 second push. And I think you're like one of the only people that's gotten a full push, right?
Yes. You forget that this is the one and only tech that I found in this run is the Nio push.
Yeah, there's some.
My only claim to fame for this helping in this run.
In the main category, we have some similar places where we're, specifically Chapter 12, where we're Aerith separately from the party. We can actually get all the scared NPCs that are trying to exit the slums to give us a push while we're carrying the little girls because we can't move at full speed.
Called crowd surfing.
So it's the similar concept. The only difference is we have one NPC to push us here versus a good dozen. So yeah, Sonon will have the Gotterdammerung, which is a special accessory that you get from doing the top secrets fight. We do get 2, but it's not worth equipping both. I'll go over that in a second. But Gotterdammerung
we had
will...
old strats that it was we used double Gotterdammerung for the end bosses.
There was
to get
also
the
a
limit,
point...
because we you can do a synergized limit break.
Yeah.
So that was part of a strat that we don't use anymore.
All right, so
It was cool looking.
yeah, the limits are like, unfortunately, they do good damage in the early bosses, but getting to Nero, better ATB management can get you where you need to go. Could you please save? Thank you. So we only have 2 save loads in this category. The main category has quite a few. Most of them save like 10 or less seconds. There's a few that are frame perfect. Luckily, there's none of that nonsense in this category. There's just 2 of them. There's one that saves a little bit of time on PC because of the load remover, but in practice, it doesn't save any time on the PS5. I found out after timing it a little bit. So what it does is it ends this dialogue early, so we can talk to Naoya as soon as she gets here. Now for the casino to be open, I'm going to suck in all these Corneo thugs with Windstorm and try and follow up with a Fire and Magnify. And if things work out right, I can get the spell out quickly enough to juggle them.
So there's 2 options. Yeah, there's 2 options for that fight. You can you can do Fire and Magnify or Faraga Magnify. Fire is faster, Faraga is more consistent.
Yeah, the thing is we're fighting the AI here. We have Synergy equipped to Sonon, which is not the same as synchronizing or synergizing. Synergy is a materia that was really kind of useless in the PS4 version because it would cost HP and MP. They tweaked it in this version, so it's absolutely free, so it's quite literally free damage. In the main category, we can switch to another character to avoid it being activated. We can switch to another category to force it to retarget. We can do quite a few things with Synergy that are probably not intended. Unfortunately, in Yuffie, it's us versus the AI most of the time, because Synergy does take a little bit of a time to come out. So if the game decides to fire it off immediately, which it normally doesn't, it can kind of slow things down a bit, unfortunately. But yeah, Gotterdammerung is an accessory that most people may not have seen if they didn't do any post-game content, and that's a free limit. And not only that, but it recharges the limit by 10 points every second. It's like 1,000 points for level 1. It's basically the only way to have any reasonable amount of damage. Sonon will also use Kindred Chord later. So those synchronized attacks, which are more or less dual attacks, will cost him less ATB at the same time. But for Yuffie, we're on Gozu Drive / Mezu Drive. The reason Sonon doesn't have these is because they require the Chthonian armlet, which we only have 1 of. But these drives are very, very powerful. They're basically like Fury Rings, except better but worse at the same time. So we can get up to a 50% damage buff if we meet certain conditions. Gozu is keeping max HP. So if we get hit in a fight, we can lose a lot of damage and maybe not be able to finish it properly and have to do something different. Or what we will switch to in the end game is the Mezu Drive, which gives us a 50% bonus at 0 MP. We won't go all the way to 0. We'll go down to about 2 to 4 so that we can get that 50% damage bonus. Because we really, really need that extra damage to make a lot of these fights reasonable. Without those, things get extremely hard. Like in the main game, Fire and Magnify early game would just kind of wipe everything off the board. Blizzard Magnify, same thing. This mode, we have to get very crafty and very ninja-like with the combinations that we use. Ice mainly to stagger the enemies so they get a massive damage taken bonus. When an enemy gets staggered, they will take a damage bonus. Usually it starts at 160%. You can increase that under... What? Excuse me? Oh, I hate you. Oh, you rusty
no.
fork.
Oh, man.
Here comes my glorious comeback.
So what happened is sometimes your shuriken just disappears for some reason there. I've only ever seen that one other time. And I was waiting to time it, and when I hit triangle, I realized she didn't have it, and I'm like, where did it go? Hello? hello, game, please.
Yeah.
So we got a couple.
So this game can be buggy at times, as well as there are some interesting bugs that happen in the main game as well. It's just the nature of going fast and not letting the game load enough,
We very
I
much
guess.
push the
Question
game
mark.
to its absolute limit.
Hey, I got a nice stumble.
It can frustrate. Oh, nice. It frustrates me quite a bit in the main category because there's an issue where spells interact with the environment. So there's quite a few places where you can literally just miss spells that would otherwise hit, and you're just out MP and ATB. And one of the things with hard mode is we have no access to items. Benches no longer recover MP. The only way we recover MP is by finishing a chapter or breaking a Shinra crate, which in some cases has a Mako shard. There's specific ones that always have it though. But we will not be going out of our way for those unless we accidentally miscast or something. Oh, okay, should be okay? All right. So we want to use the limit there to put him into pressure, which will increase the amount of stagger. So a Blizzard will be able to stagger rather than just almost staggering. It's kind of similar to Final Fantasy 13, if you've ever played that, where you like push the gauge to the end and then the boss goes very... and bosses and enemies in general will go passive, and you'll be able to get off a bunch of damage with a damage bonus.
Okay,
With Yuffie...
I think I just saw the craziest thing I think I've ever seen, and I think I just saw it out of the corner of my eye, and I don't think I'll ever be able to prove what happened. But basically, the Blizzara like circled around the Cryptshay like a bunch of times before it exploded.
I 100% believe you. Spells are
it like
very
spiraled
weird
around
with their
it
targeting.
before it actually became a Blizzara bomb.
What I've noticed is spells can be very weird in this game. The main category, if you're paying attention, sometimes there's enemies that you're not currently fighting, but they're next to the combat zone, and these enemies will somehow get targeted by spells. Here we go. Should be good here. So not, let's run. Oh, this is gonna be bad. No, I want an ATB boost first. Not sure Banishment's gonna be enough. Unfortunately, Wrathhound can be quite the tough customer. I had honestly put Wrathhound probably in difficulty above Giant Pede. Unironically, we can kind of snake the Shuriken in here if we just make sure we turn the camera around as we're passing by, and then mash triangle to throw it. The game will auto-correct. I used to think you had to turn around, but Strife corrected me the other day, who's probably one of the best runners of the hard categories.
Yeah, X-Strife is our professional router of main game and Yuffie Final Fantasy VII, along with EXC.
I've totally tried to get him to do races and stuff, but he absolutely is adamant about not having anything to do with it. But if there's something I'm doing, a 90% chance he's the one that showed me how to do it.
Likewise, this is we're really showcasing Strife's route in general, with our own little personal tweaks.
Yeah, some of the things he has a different Wrathhound fight, and I could not replicate it myself, so I had to come up with my own chicanery that made it work.
And likewise, I do Wrathhound slightly different. I do certain fights slightly different. It just works better for me and timing. And a lot of this run is timing.
Okay.
Doing things at the right time and cycling skill masters and ATB assists. Learning those mechanics really is important for a run like this. But otherwise, it's pretty easy.
This fight right here is kind of a goofy one. I do it in a little bit of a weird way. The Blizzard actually, I've been told, isn't needed, but I'm too much of a grug or a caveman to comprehend how to do it. So I'm
definitely not doing it without the Blizzara.
I just, if it works, if it's broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
Speaking of if it's broke, don't fix it. Here's a nice 2.5 minute long elevator ride. I hope you guys like elevator music, because we don't have any.
We'll call it a conveyor belt, but sure, elevator works. No, and I missed the button. Okay.
Yeah, It's really easy to interact with a button and then have Yuffie turn around and then turn around again to interact with it. Sometimes you can actually get her to turn around and poke an invisible button that just isn't there. It's kind of funny, but I think it's a little bit slower because it takes her a while to fix it. So normally there's a bunch of items and a little bit of money in these chests, but because we're in hard mode, items cannot be used, so it's useless. Absolutely useless. We've already pre-bought all the materia we need, and I'm actually leveraging the different weapons that Yuffie has, the 4-point shuriken and the Steel Reaper, to be set up very quickly for the next few chapters. I'll actually use the 4-point shuriken to overwrite the materia on the boomerang. It's only a 2 materia change, but I find it much easier to just switch the weapon, select no, switch back, select yes, and overwrite the whole thing. And later we will also be switching to Steel Reaper because Nero gives no cares about magic, so we gotta hit real hard, real fast. Most of the time we gotta be very wary of the synergy though, because when we're doing dual attacks, Sono will stop to cast the synergy spells, and if we go to attack again with a dual attack, we'll just do a solo attack with Yuffie, and our damage will crater. There's also a little hidden crate up here some people don't know about, worth 5k gil. It doesn't do anything for us, just like the Phoenix Downs, the Ethers, the Elixirs, the Mega Potions that are in here, but it's one of those things that when I saw it, I was like, that exists? Even VXC didn't know about it at the time, and he literally has run all of the categories.
I don't think I knew about it until just now.
I show it off every marathon, and somebody is always like, that was a thing? So
The secret money.
Yeah, there's 4 materia that are incredibly important. First Strike, ATB Stagger, Skill Master, which are all Box Bash 1, which are reasonable to get. Box Bash 2, there's nothing usable in there, so don't worry about it. I think like maybe ATB Boost is the first tier, so it's reasonable. And then the Magic Up would normally be over here on the left, but we've already picked it up. Unfortunately, we can only get 1 Magic Up, so we really can't get super overpowered magic. That probably was a bad decision on the developer's part to give us 2 Magic Ups in the main game, because it really turned into Magic is King. It does make the route very interesting in terms of MP routing. This chapter, we're a little bit close, but because the Boomerang gives us a 50% mana regeneration, and Giant Pete is a glorified cutscene, we're going to regenerate quite a bit of MP while we're waiting for him to crawl around and jump back onto the platform.
Yeah, we just press buttons until he dies, basically.
Yeah, I'll start talking again once I get
is.
to the auto-scroller segment, but for now I need to focus just a little bit so I don't make a big dumb mistake.
Yeah, see, you hear Sid talk about all the stuff, and I'm just over here going, Yuffie goes burr. In our Naradu run.
Mm-hmm, pretty much. Arms behind us. Okay, don't do anything. Fine. We actually want to make sure we don't stagger here. Can you just... Fine, be like that. Okay, fine. I don't mind if you get hit by Giant Pete a bazillion times, buddy. Okay, so I'm waiting for Giant Pete to stop here so that I can no longer stagger, and I'm just bilking out some ATB and damage. A lot of the enemies have an HP lock. Bosses will reach that quite often. So the trick is hitting that magic number that causes them to shift phases as quickly as possible while maintaining good ATB. Right here, we're actually going to wait, and then we're going to throw the shuriken, which is one of our tools. This will allow me to get a lot of tick damage, or dots, if you're familiar with that, damage over time. And you might see that it's like a couple hundred per tick, but it's a lot of damage. You may notice that it's like the HP bar has gone down a couple of letters worth. It's pretty significant. It'll make our lives a lot easier. I'm going to ATB boost here just as a timing method. So you don't have to burn this if you want, but I just do it so that the Thundaga should hit the tail as it comes in like that. Right here, we just can pretty much do whatever we want, spam a couple of spells. Looks like I need to use Banishment because I'm short on MP, so Art of War into Banishment it is. Luckily, I noticed that before I started going for it, because that would have been really sticky. Art of War into Banishment. So I'm doing Art of War first because it gives me a 40% buff on this Banishment. There we go. Nice, nice. That was very lucky. Sometimes that's damage is a bit of a range. Normally, you'd want to go for Art of War into Thundaga for the 40% damage buff, or Thundaga into Banishment. Either or. In that case, I was short just a little bit of MP because I got aggressive somewhere and wasted a spell. Normally Thundaga is 22 MP, but the Boomerang has a 20% cost reduction, so it pushes it down to 18. But basically, I wasted one tier 1 spell because I'm down at 14. So I could have easily cut one of the blizzards in the boss fight, but I wasn't paying close enough attention to my ATB or MP. It's very hard to gauge because you spend a fairly long amount of time there just standing around. So your MP just ticks up while you're waiting for him to come back. So it can be very hard to like figure out what your MP's at. No, I'm being dumb. Yes, please. I'm so used to the main category where it's always selecting the bottom option, and then my brain was like, what?
Oh, I do that sometimes when I do different categories. Kind of with that being said, because I know we're doing new game plus hard mode and stuff like that. If someone wanted to come in, is it better to do like just a traditional new game, or is it better to do new game plus easy? Are there different categories?
If you're willing to grind, new game plus hard is a little bit more challenging. New game plus easy would teach you the movement of the game. Give me 1 second here. Yes.
So to add on to what Sid's, I run the main game on easy mode, so this is actually my only hard mode game that I run. And to what he said, like the mechanics are really important to learn, and you really only get those in the hard mode runs because you have access to all the materia that you wouldn't in a easy speed run.
Yeah. New game easy, I hear, is the most reasonable. New game normal is unreasonable. Everybody tells me to stay away from it. New game plus easy, you have access to everything, so you'll learn movement and tech that you wouldn't see otherwise, but the enemies will kind of be pushed over. It's a little bit harder in normal, and then hard is probably really execution heavy because we need to micromanage ATB stagger. Every time we stagger an enemy, we get 900 ATB. So that can be very useful early on. We want to also micromanage Skill Master, which every 3 moves we do that are different, we also get 900 ATB. And it's 1,000 units of ATB per move, unless you're under refocus, but we don't have that for this category, so we'll just throw that out of the argument. And then there is ATB Boost, and which we'll use every once in a while. Every 60 seconds it'll recharge, but it will double your current ATB count. And it does come with a little bit of an animation, which can take a little bit of time, but it will help you in some scenarios. And the other very important one that we're actually utilizing a ton here is ATB Assist. As long as we do 2 moves back to back, for most part, there will be some exceptions. So if you do want to learn the run, feel free to ask why ATB Assist isn't activating. But if you do 2 moves back to back, every other party member gets 600 ATB. That sounds like it's a little, but trust me, it is a lot when you actually put it in practice. And that will put you in a position where, what are you doing? That's not what I want to target.
It's basically, long story short, like you rely on a lot of game mechanics that you normally wouldn't on easy mode that you do in hard mode rather.
Hard very much causes you to engage with all of the systems, and depending on the level of run you want to have, you can go the distance, or you can kind of take it a little bit easier.
Okay. I really confused myself.
Strife has like gone the distance and pushed it down to, I believe it's like a 329, I want to say, and I'm at like not a 429, excuse me, and that's glitchless. There is about 30 minutes worth of time save and glitches, but those can be very difficult to to do and integrate. They're much easier in the PS4 version. If you're willing to sit through load times, the PS4 will make your life a lot easier with saves, but you lose like 30 minutes to load times. So there is actually a difference between the PS4 and the PC and PS5 version. The game functions very differently. But if you want to challenge hard or like new game normal, I hear that's very difficult though, because you're relying on RNG to get enough ATB. Without First Strike, your ATB is completely random. Your skill, your speed matters a little, but not as much as you would think. It actually only impacts your ATB gain during combat.
Any
So-
percent normal is definitely the hardest speed run that this game has to offer, for sure. Just simply because you're so under leveled.
Yeah, under leveled, especially if you're going with straight any percent with the glitches. You can skip like, as a very exaggerated example, the largest skip, you can double back after you leave the church once you get to the train, and you can walk all the way to Wall Market. So it does have a lot of things. This is probably the best category to just kind of get into because it's so much shorter, and then you can kind of gauge from there how much you want to, if you want to go all in or not. The mechanics of this one are a little bit different, but you'll still learn all the things to manage. And because it's so much shorter, if you're going to do a New Game Plus category, grinding is much simpler. There's armor in this. Why am I doing this? That's not right. Can I just... Yeah, we're just going to do this.
Yeah, this run being so short is like perfect for people like on a time crunch or anything like that, so...
Yeah.
You just want to do a quick speed run and learn a quick speed run. This is definitely
really
nice
stupid.
and quick.
Well,
Wow, first time I did not get thundered by the soldier guys.
well, that was an interesting way to lose a bunch of HP.
No.
Normally, you're
Oh,
supposed
no.
to just come over to the door here, but I accidentally threw my shuriken. And
Did you throw and retrieve?
because the problem is if you don't retrieve it, it just kind of lingers, and then you have to retrieve it after. So I thought I had caught it early enough to get away with it, and at this point, I should have learned that that's not how that works. It's going to mess up my MP management because the boomerang also has a nice little ability called trade-off that's very good casually. Every 1,000 damage you take, you get 1 MP back. But because I'm trying to drain my MP, that's going to push me up 4 more MP. So it'll be a little bit of a little bit different when I cast the cure spells. I might just cast Curaga for no reason, even though I don't need that much.
Yeah, so I have a
Okay.
different attack to make sure Sonnen doesn't take damage on that. When the guy explodes, I do Dance of the Dragon, his limit break, and that makes him immune to all damage, so he just goes... I don't expect him to really damage the...
Yeah, you
My
can
God, I'm
fire
drawing
off
a blank
the
on the
limit
guy.
if you want to keep him from taking damage on the internal unit, the ejected, whatever. You can actually one-shot those in the PS4 version, so like initially I was like, these things aren't a problem, and then I played this version and I'm like, I hate these things, please remove them.
Yeah, and they made that change in the main game as well, so that changed a lot of speedrun strats.
Unfortunately, like, it's really unreasonable in this category because of this room right here. You want to eject, buddy? Okay. Thank you. And we're good to go. The problem is this room's so tight, you can get tagged by an eject pretty easy. And because, like I said earlier, we're on Gozu Drive. If Yuffie takes a hit, our damage just goes right into the dirt. But, yeah, we're gonna be faced with an option here. We can take one of 2 fights. We're basically gonna go hard left on most of these. I will talk about both fights briefly. This one, it's 2 sweepers or 2 mono drives. These aren't the normal wimpy mono drives that you could just bulldoze. These are actually the unique variant that can put up a physical or a magical shield that will completely nullify that damage. We're gonna throw the shuriken, windstorm, and hope. Sometimes they move into it, sometimes they move out of it. Unfortunately, like, the sweepers would be quicker, or not quicker, they'd be more consistent, but it would drain a lot of MP that we usually don't have access to, and it just would be slower. So we just kind of have to do this and be like, well, I got lucky, which I did.
Yes, yeah. Nice.
It's not as inconsistent as it sounds, but sometimes when you're on a good run, seeing those guys can be very frustrating. So our choices here are a cutter or a blast ray. Blast ray is a really weird enemy. A lot of them usually stagger through stagger damage or some sort of special mechanic. Blast ray is one of the few enemies that just staggers by straight damage taken, and then it also has a repulsion field when it staggers. So it can be a very big pain in the butt to fight. We do have some ranged attacks with Yuffie, but not enough to make it worth. So we're just gonna face tank the cutter here. We're going to synergize into an Art of War. I have to be careful here to not input again. We need to wait for this thunder to come out, or else I'll just do a regular Art of War, which will do almost no damage.
Wow, that mono drive was not cooperative at all.
The mono drives are always like that. This is the one fight where it really kind of doesn't matter. Drones on the right, mono drives on the left. They both will get one shot by a thrown windstorm. So Art of War, its unique thing is it buffs the next move by 40%. Windstorm will do like a localized hurricane around you that kind of acts like a wind spell, but it really doesn't do a huge amount of damage, does a little bit of damage over time. If you throw the shuriken first, that'll wedge itself in the enemy and kind of hit them over time, but not really too aggressively. But if you windstorm while it's thrown, you'll get a really strong centralized magic whirlwind that just hits like a freight train. Outside of like being synchronized to do double attacks, that's the best way. So our choices here is a Morph unit, that big enemy with the blade and the ball on the bottom of it, or another one of those Magitech troopers. I think the choice here is pretty clear. I'm not going to wait for an enemy to eject to kill it. So we're going for the little bit harder one. We're just going to chuck a limit here. I could windstorm immediately to keep the Morph from doing anything. But Sonon would probably respond with a Synergy Thunder before I could get out the limit, so I'd just be in the same position anyway. So we're gonna do this, ATB boost. The limit will keep him from doing anything, and these thrown windstorms will do the last remainder. The reason this category can be so hard in hard is a lot of these enemies are unique one-time only enemies that you would normally see in side quests, like this one right here. For the most part, machines are weak to lightning, flying enemies are weak to wind, monsters are weak to ice, and humans are weak to fire. This thing right here resists lightning and is weak to everything else. Because.
That's the best example. That's the best reasoning. Just because.
We're actually just going to throw out a Brumal form here. I'm going to explain that in a little bit, but I want to do the inputs first. That's a little scuff. All right. Please do enough damage? Okay. My ATB was a little bit short, so I missed out on the boosts of damage from Art of War. But Brumal Form is a really unique ability. It requires you have 1,000 ATB, but takes almost none. I think it takes like 100. It may not even take that much. So basically, like, you can fire off Brumal Form, not lose any ATB to it, or barely any, and then it counts for your Skill Master. So it's very easy to help hitting that 3 Skill Master loop activation, and it basically gives you a free skill in there. So in with addition, 2 ATB, go ahead.
In addition to that, too, I mean, I think you're right. Like, total net, it costs you 100 ATB, and then if you do it twice, it activates ATB assist, and that gives your partner a.
Oh yeah, that's another thing that like I do it without even realizing it sometimes. There's a lot of like very subtle things that Strife routes in that I just do without thinking about it. And I just go button, 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 thing. That's literally how I do this fight. I could probably Brumal Form multiple times, but I don't. I only do it 3, just because I don't want to get hit by the bullets. What I'm trying to do there is dodge the damage. We're going to Thundergo with Sonon and then chase Scarlet back to the wall here so that we can keep her in a pretty strong stun lock. Okay. Synergized. Drop out of this. ATB boost. I'll explain what happened in a second. I know you're kind of like, what's going on? It's very hard to explain. So I use the initial.
One of those fights that are definitely like watching or blink and you'll miss it, and it's hard to explain while you're doing it.
It's very easy for me to like mess up inputs, so I'm trying my best to keep the commentary going without like messing things up. Please don't disappear. No, I hate you. It's bad.
I believe.
I mean, he will go down. It's just gonna take a while. One of them disappeared on me.
Oh no.
Nah, well, it be what it be. Steel Reaper, no. Gozu Mezu, and Kindred Cord. We're gonna stop using limits here because it stops being super useful. Team attacks is going to be where it's at for the rest of the game. Okay. So I'll be using some. Go ahead.
I just want to quickly point out that last boss fight that you had, Sid. It was because I'm watching it with a little bit less frame rate. So all I just saw was just like Yuffie attack, up in the air attack, up in the air attack. It was like a whole like glitch frenzy. It was hilarious.
Pretty much. That's how a lot of these fights end up looking, fortunately or unfortunately. I don't even know if I see what's happening anymore. I just hit buttons. Why are you still alive? Okay, you're gone. Problem solved. So I want to bottom out my MP here because I'm on the Mezu drive for max damage buff. I need to have at least 2 MP going into Nero. 4 is fine. It will kind of lower my damage output just a little bit, but it's not that big of a problem.
I have no idea what I just saw. I think I just damaged myself with Thundaga. I certainly did. I certainly did. I self-targeted myself.
It's called target corruption, and it's not.
That was not intended.
It's not intended, no, but it's the only way you can actually self-berserk yourself because it's flagged as a... will you please? There we go. Targeted the right thing. I'm going to take a bunch of damage for my slowness. That's good enough ATB, though.
Incidentally, that's the first time I was ever able to do target corruption, ever.
I've never done it before either.
I've been trying, and that's the first time I've ever done it.
Yeah, target corruption is needed in the glitch category to push yourself out of bounds in a lot of situations. But yeah, with Scarlet, we stun lock her with the Thundagas, and because Scarlet and the mech are 2 separate targets, we double dip on the damage. So every time I hit a arm, it hits Scarlet as well. So it's a pretty wild fight because that's the only boss where that kind of happens. In the main game, anything with multiple targets does not have that weakness, so to speak. Also, Nero, I kind of hate this guy. We gotta basically face tank every single attack to make sure it lands. Please.
I feel like everyone does not enjoy Nero.
Nero, I would contend, is better off a secret boss. He should not be a final boss. The first couple of waves, we basically just have to wait for him to attack and counter in kind so we can put him in pressure so we can continue to attack. In phase 3, he has a super obnoxious chance to go flying, which can make us whiff. So what I'll be doing there is using Brumal Form to activate Skill Master, because I find ATB boost to be too inconsistent, but I'll still have it in my back pocket if my ATB is too bad. It's run over if I see Veil of Woe, though. I can't push through it because it massively reduces the damage, and every time you try to physically attack, you'll just bounce off. Hopefully we don't see that. But
Nero is definitely that fight where if it goes well, it's going to go well, but it's a quick reset if you're... if something goes wrong.
It's a fight you lose a huge amount of time to resetting, but it's also one of those fights where it's like, well, things are not going to happen.
Wow,
okay,
he went backwards, then forwards.
Build a little bit of ATB here. Yeah, his first pattern can be a little bit random, so we have to make sure to wait until he swings at us. If we swing too soon, we get punished very hard. So this phase right here is a little bit rough. I attack as he's disappearing. It's a little bit YOLO, apparently, but it has always worked for me. Hopefully I don't get punished today.
Hopefully.
Okay. We'll see. Yeah, with that attack, if he didn't get pressured, I would have been surprised. So we'll just use our regular attacks here in combination to... push through the damage we need. Synergy Windstorm will increase the damage multiplier from him being staggered, so we'll be good here. I'll just ATB boost because there's no reason to not. Cure up myself. I added an HP up before the fight instead of ATB stagger to make this a little bit more consistent. Even with Cure, sometimes you can get hit way too hard to survive. Earlier I had one where I died in the final retort. Okay, I guess we're gonna be doing it here. Normally he disappears, and he did it on me. Cool. All right, I'm gonna have to wait here. Oh, what? Sure. I'll take that. Done. Time.
Nice. That was a fun boss.
So what you're looking for is him to spatial, and because he circled around me, I thought he was gonna attack, and instead he teleported. And I just luckily timed out that the last hit of the Synergy hit him and the wings. If you hit him with a whole Synergy Art of War, it'll one-shot him, and you won't need to follow up there. But as long as you break the wings, he'll get put into pressure, and it's pretty much you're good to go. This fight is a huge management of Skillmaster and Skillmaster totally. So the dual attacks with synchronized Art of War actually count to 2 moves and 2 separate moves. So if we loop our Skillmaster Art of War into Skillmaster Windstorm, we constantly go into 3, 3, 3. So we keep activating Skillmaster over and over again.
And time.
Nice.
All right. As usual, Steam's right behind me. I have very little time.
And I don't attack menu the final attack too, so I'm pretty sure I'm one of the only runners that don't do that.
I've been punished too many times for that, so I'm a big scaredy cat. It also helps to make sure, like in that situation, I think if I shortcut it, it may have missed retargeting there. Tactical menu is a very good way to make sure you hit your target. There's no shame in it, so if you're learning to run, feel free to use tactical menu as much as you want and get slowly used to shortcutting. Over time, you'll build up the speed and reaction time to use it. We actually use it a lot in the main category because there are some cases where you want to use something once or twice and it's just faster that way, or it'll make everything consistent, so we tactical menu it. So don't feel ashamed about that. And thanks for the GGs, everyone. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you, thank you, Vesper, for having us on, and Sid for racing me again for the 6th time.
Oh, of course. So if anyone wanted to know more information, because we talked a little about the run, if anyone wanted to know more information about maybe to learn about it or to get information, where would they go?
Yeah, so we have we have a Discord, Final Fantasy VII Remake speedruns that you can go to. We have a lot of runners that are pretty much route the game to it's the most optimized it's been. So we have a lot of people that will help out. Very welcoming. So if you want to learn,
the easiest way to find that is to go over to speedrun.com and just look up the times and stuff there. And then, click on some videos, find what you find interesting. If you want to come in the Discord and just ask, feel free. New Game Easy is a little bit hard, but if you don't want to grind, feel free. If you're on the PC, you can also download save files, so it'll make your life a little bit easier.
Also, Rip Sonnen.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe not. I don't know. It looks like we might see him in the next game as a bad guy with Nero.
I predict he's a deep ground soldier. That's my prediction for Sonnen. He's going to be deep ground soldier, and Yuki's going to have to fight him.
I don't mind if Sonnen shows up, just as long as Nero doesn't. Get that guy out of here.
He will. Don't you worry about that.
He better be in the PR chamber, and that's it.
So if anyone wanted to follow y'all, where would they go?
I stream a ton recently. I'm getting ready to submit to RPG Limit Break, so I'm grinding the main category as much as possible. Almost done with the practice and learning segment, but that's also a good way for you to maybe get introduced to how practice works. I'll be working on the end bosses soon. The real doozy is the Whispers fight. That's like a 10-minute fight where we heavily abuse some mechanics to make it go much quicker. But it would be twitch.tv _Sid_ because names are weird. I also have a Twitch or YouTube, the same thing without the extra underscore because names aren't weird. Question mark.
I'm following in that pattern. I stream on Twitch primarily. I don't really get much use out of my YouTube or Twitter, but I'm pretty much always on Twitch, lurking around, trolling in chats. But if you want to follow me on twitch.tv, steamed _hams _ with _cheese. It's funny. It's much funnier in the TTS. So
it is, yeah.
Well, it looks like in the unofficial matchup between Hams and gosh darn T, it looks like T won.
Yeah. You got the lard and the butter.
We'll see when round 7 comes back.
Oh yeah,
we'll see. It can very easily swing. Go ahead.
Yes. I'll say, well, thank you all very much for coming out and showcasing this great run. While the bargain bin may be closing its doors for this evening, do not forget, coming up here in just a moment is She Is Speed, showcasing Super Metroid and A Hat in Time. It's going to be a fantastic show. I personally can't wait for that. Thank you all so very much for tuning in. And don't forget, we'll be getting everything set up. If you're watching this on YouTube, of course, be sure to press the like button on the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, head on over to twitch.tv/GamesTimeQuick if you're interested in looking at our live content, starting weeknights at 7 p.m. Eastern, weekends at 1 p.m. Eastern. While we get things set up for She Is Speed, this is a great opportunity to get up, stretch, get some water, and hydrate. I'll see you all later. Have a wonderful evening.